And welcome back to Scavtalk, everyone. Today's episode, we're going to be discussing The Wipe Part 2, since now that we've both had more time than 24 hours to play through The Wipe and experience all the changes and additions and bugs and features, the whole lot of it. So, jumping right into it, Giga. I've been been peeking in your streams a little bit. I'm like, dang, Giga's already level 22. Oh my god, he's got G36 already. I'm like, what the heck's going on, dude?
Yeah, I've been grinding the content, grinding the game. I've basically spent like half my day on YouTube and half my day on playing. That's pretty much it.
What a life.
And then I go to bed. I know. I mean, this is the thing. I never get a chance
crazy.
to do this. Like, it's crazy because like my family is away. I think everyone who's obviously been following on with what's been happening, like all of our summer plans got kind of like turned upside down by this. So I did manage to. I can't remember when, because we last spoke. Oh yeah, we last spoke on Friday. So I made a bunch of stuff. Didn't stream. So my voice last week was just like really busted, right? So I didn't stream on Saturday, but it was actually quite good the way it ended up working out. Like I couldn't really have streamed anyway. I shouldn't have, because my voice was so bad, and I just needed. Like I actually felt completely fine. I had so many people in chat being like, "Get well soon." Like I hope you're okay, and I was like, I feel completely okay. So it's like my voice is broken and I can't speak. It doesn't hurt, but I can't. I don't know. I just needs to rest or whatever. It's something weird happened, and yeah. So I was like, fine. Well, I need to rest anyway. And I had that LAN party from like the Thursday through to the Sunday, which I like didn't really go to. So instead, I like made a vid on Saturday morning, and then I went. So I went in the afternoon. Like it wasn't that far away. It was like an hour and a half. So I packed up my stuff and drove down, and basically was there from about 3-ish, and like stayed until like we stayed up until like 2 in the morning or whatever, and then like went to bed there, and then woke up, had breakfast, and then drove back, and then had Sunday because everyone was packing up Sunday anyway. So like I missed basically like the full Friday. Like it's like Thursday, everyone gets at 4. It's like people are messing about, then they have dinner, whatever. So it's like there's not that much gaming on Thursday. Friday's like the full day, and Saturday's the full day, and then Sunday's kind of pack up days. People are kind of lazy, tired, whatever. So it's like it's really 2 days of LAN, right? It's not really 4 days. It's like 2 days really. So I kind of missed like one full day, and had like most of one full day. So like it was, as a compromise, it was all right. But I basically just got to sort of chill with the homies and rest my voice and yeah, just play golf with friends and some stupid stuff like that, which is like, which is good.
Yeah, that's funny.
It was quite a nice break in the middle of the wipe actually, because it's been so sort of intense. But yeah, from there, I kind of helped out on Sunday, and then my whole family disappeared. So I've been left here on my own from Sunday through till basically today. And the compromise we've come to is, so tonight I'm going to actually go and meet them all. So I'm going to be there for a long weekend, Friday through Sunday. So I'll only have missed like the first part of the week. I'll be there for the end, so that should be okay. And so now I'm just like cranking in as much content as I can to like post up till Sunday when I'll be back, and then I'll be making more stuff. So, oh man, it's completely insane. So I've just been like, yeah, flat out level 23 now. I had the best start to the wipe I've ever had, and it kind of continued on actually through a combination of careful play. It's not as insane as it was at the beginning, but I'm sat on a 73% survival rate, which is like pretty unheard of for me. I think it's the best wipe. Like last wipe I got absolutely slapped, right? Like last wipe I had like a 30% survival rate. This wipe we've been totally killing it. My longest survival streak was like 12 raids in a row. It was it was mad, and I've killed like 40 people and done 70 raids. So yeah, it's going good, honestly. It's going good. Yeah, I've been living that G36C life just because I can't. Do you remember? Was it on Peacekeeper last?
Not the
patch?
C.
Like the C, because it used to be like the big long boy, the only one you could buy, and it was just awful, and it felt like trying to use like a huge log, move around the map, and you couldn't mod it properly, and it was just terrible, right? But like having the C on Peacekeeper is really cool because it's like, oh, it's not the good recall one, but that's fine. Early wipes, great, but it's like super moddable. So I've been loving that and smashing people in CQB with it and stuff. So like that's been super fun. What's been going on with you? How have you been progressing? Have you been enjoying and progressing the wipe so far?
Okay. I'm trying to see what my stats are. I feel like it's been pretty rough this wipe. I think part of it's just like out of practice. Part of it's like not familiar with some of the Tarkov changes, like namely the audio has been really difficult for me.
Yeah. Like we had all of last wipe to get to used to that, whereas you came from like old audio and then didn't play, and then like the headsets changed, the audio changed, it got fixed like 3 times, and then now to go to new audio now, it could be a big step actually. So
okay, so I'm at 51, which is better than I thought because felt like I was more in like the 30s or 40s. It's
That's
been kind of
fine.
mixed.
Yeah.
But I just got flea market not too long ago, like yesterday I think, or maybe technically today I guess. So just played like my first raid with the SVT-40. I think that's probably gonna be the gun I use for quite some time. I don't know. Like I want to try the whole 56A1 stuff because I think that's pretty cool. But at the same time, I just feel like the SVT-40 is kind of just.
Now, I think the SVT is probably important to talk about first because it's like it's the
Sure.
gun du jour, you know. It's the one everyone's talking about. It's the new. It's the Mosin Slayer. It's the Tarkov early game white
It's
dominator. You know,
Hunter M61 all over again, Giga.
exactly. Except even worse because the ammo is like even more available and like oh my god, it's terrible. But I tried it a bit. I didn't try it a lot. I tried it a bit. I'm not a great semi-auto guy, really. I'm not that good at semi-auto. I'm much better at full auto because I'm just full auto. You get lots more chances to hit them, and you can only use the PU sight on this thing. I find that really difficult and unwieldy. I've never been a Mosin PU user, and I just don't like that sight at all. And with the slightly slow ergo, I just don't really like it that much. It's not really my kind of gun. I don't mind it with the irons actually, but with the PU sight, I think it's kind of awful. Like, have you been using it with the irons or with the? Oh no, are you going to use it with the irons or the little mount? Like, what do you think? Do you know yet? Have you tried it? Have you actually used it? Because I guess you've only just got to 15, so.
I mean, I use it once with irons, but I don't. The thing with the PU scope, like, I mean, the problem with it is that when you lean, you just can't see anything. Like, you just the scope completely loses. At least that's true for the Mosin. I'm not positive about.
I think it's the same.
So like, it's gonna be one of those things where I was watching Landmark use it like this. Like you just take it off and put it on when you need it.
Yeah.
You know, but like, I honestly feel like you don't really need it all that much. I mean, it's kind of like doing Punisher part 6 on Factory back in the day. You bring the SVD in there, you just like spam the living crap out of the gun, right?
If you lean fast, it covers, I would say, half the scope blacking thing.
It's really
like if you strafe as well, you can get it to be quite bad. But it doesn't. It's not ideal, but it's not terrible either.
It's one of those things where like you're like I've had it happen so many times. It's like you're playing woods, you go to lean peek the guy behind, like you're behind a tree, you go to lean peek him, you can't see him, then you can finally see him, then you finally get on target, and he one taps you. It's like, why did I do this to myself?
Because he had like a Kedo or something and just went and just killed you. That's the thing that I always find with these semi things. So like, you have to be so careful with them.
Well, no, it's like the scope because you can't see him. You know what I mean? Like he's out in but because I leaned and I can't see with the scope. That's what I mean. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, that's also true. But yeah, I don't know. I just can't see myself using it as much as everybody's going on about it. Like it's good. Obviously, it's got good ammo and it's going to slap people. But for me personally, I think it's one of those. It's like another sort of like Mosin style gun where I don't use the Mosin that much. Why? Because one bullet to hit, like you have to use the Mosin in a very particular way, and you have to hit your shots. You have to be like flick shooty, esports FPS kind of person to want to use that gun, right? I think it's just the way, and I think the SVT sort of is in a similar camp. If you're accurate and you can click your shots off, you can just 2-tap everybody. For me, I'm not sure. I think I'd rather have the more chances. Also, like I guess when I was using it a little bit, I was combining it with pistol with the quick swap on because I think that's actually quite valuable for close range. Because I had some fights. Like there's no laser for this thing, right? Because it's the PU only. There's no rails. There's no laser. There's no way of mounting it. Can't mount any other scope or optic. It would definitely be OP if you could mount any optic that you wanted. And but I had some like close range fights where like maybe I need to get used to it or whatever, but like I just couldn't hit anything at all. I got like jumped by a scav with the PU scope on, so I was like, let's just point shoot this guy, and it was just boom, 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 boom. I just could not hit him. It was terrible. So maybe it's just a need to get used to it kind of thing. Like I'm sure if you use it a bit and get experience with it and practice with it, it's probably quite good. But anything looks good in the hands of the old Lovend mark, right? But like, it's difficult for the average user. I'm not sure like for the downsides that you take for not being able to hit people close that easily, and like you have to take the scope on and off, you have to go to your inventory to do it and stuff. Like I feel like there's enough downsides that mean that the game won't be plagued with it until maybe later. I think this gun gets more OP as time goes on because of the way armor works.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because right now, my argument is you actually have lots of different bullets that will pen class 3.
Mm-hmm.
And you also have lots of different options that do well against class 4. The SVT-40 is not really necessary. But when everyone's running class 5, I think that's when it will really shine. Because then you'll just be, SNBing or PS or whatever it is in there. And it's just going to start cracking through people. And everyone's kit cost is going to go up and up and up and up and up like this. And the SVT-40 is just going to chill here. Well, I was going to say 40k, but I mean, they've already increased the price.
Yeah, I saw that.
One time, yeah. So it was 46, I think, before 44 or something. And now it's already 56. So it's gone up a little bit. There is a barter as well. But yeah, I don't know. I can't see myself using it a ton, I don't think.
Yeah, I think there's definitely going to be players that prefer having more, volume over. Because, I mean, the 10 round the 10 round mags isn't ideal, I would say,
No.
So I don't, I mean, totally see that. I'm gonna have to play. I've only played like one raid, but I can kind of just see exactly what you're describing. It's it's basically gonna be the M61 hunter meta from back in the days. Because this is the other thing too, is like you can craft SMB at like level 2 workbench, and it's relatively. It's like I think it's like 2 reds or something. Pretty sure it's level 2 workbench, and you get like 80 of it. So I just feel like it's gonna be. I think give it some more time, and it's gonna be very plagued in the game. So like every PMC is gonna have one.
Maybe, yeah. I think, yeah. I mean, I even struggled with the iron shooting. So I was marking, like, I was doing Tiger Safari and marked those little trucks on customs. It was on like the main road between gas station and the sniper tower thing. The one in this middle, I got like caught between a couple of scavs. So I did end up winning there, but like even hitting iron sight shots from like the little truck all the way to the sniper checkpoint thing, I was like, this is actually kind of hard. It was, I don't know, it was just okay. The issue, I guess, is the fact that once you get to Purple 3, there's like the upgraded version with the 15 round mag, which goes full auto. This actually kind of fixes some of the issues, right? Because like CQB, you could just ram your barrel into somebody and just 15 rounds of SMB into their face, which might be even worse.
I mean,
I've not used it yet.
The one, like, because you can't mount a laser, you get like a pretty bad penalty for hipfire. Like the first shot's fine, but the following shots, like your gun and arms just like sway drastically like a giant 8 ball. It's pretty bad. So but I mean, like, yeah, full auto, like, your DPS gets increased. I think the big thing is 15 rounds for sure, because like the way I'm gonna treat it is like just dump 10 rounds as fast as possible into the target, and
yeah,
you kind of like a shotgun, like you just play around corners, but like just don't really go for precision unless like it's very niche situations, because the recoil is so vertical. Like it's functionally the same as the SKS. It just like goes straight up.
Yeah.
But the amount, like the distance it goes up, is less than the SKS, which is kind of confusing to me, but I don't know. You could argue it like it's a longer gun, so it's less, but whatever.
There's no argument.
That's kind of like basically you just like as soon as you shoot, drag down and just spam the button and they'll die eventually, dude. Like it's crazy because you can hit them once in the arm, right? And then the damage from that's gonna lower their chest HP to where if you shoot the next bullet shoots them in their chest and it goes through their armor, they're gonna die. So it's like,
yeah,
it's I don't know, I just feel like it's a little too crazy.
Yeah, it's actually nuts. Like, if you compare it to the other guns, I just don't understand why they decided it was a good idea to put it like this. Like, surely maybe they're just introducing it so everyone uses it and then they're going to nerf it. But like, comes out of the gate with 96 vertical recoil, right?
Yeah.
Did we look at this last time? I can't remember. The SVD's base recoil. I think we looked at that, which was, if you remember correctly, was 153. What about the
It's
Vepr Hunter?
crazy.
What do you think the Vepr Hunter's base recall is? Because this is basically the
it's
Vepr Hunter.
I know it's 100 something.
Mm-mm.
It's 200.
311.
No fucking way.
I know, right?
That's dude.
And this thing comes out at like 96, and it fires a bigger, more powerful cartridge.
You're telling me the base, like naked?
No, I'm telling you the one from if you go on,
like you
if
buy
you go
it from Prapper and it's usable. What?
Yeah, as in like there's one on the Flea for 34k. It's 311 vertical recoil. If I edit the preset, then I can get rid of the stock and get rid of all the things. The base recoil of the Vepr Hunter is 510.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, the
That
only
is crazy.
I don't know. The only thing that's like kind of bad about it, but I feel like it just doesn't really matter for whatever reason. The convergence is pretty low relative to the other ones. Like in its class DMRs, like this one's 1.25, whereas like your RSS is like 1.6, your SR25 is 1.5, M1A SVD is 1.1. So I guess it's not that bad.
Well, that's the thing. It's better than the SVD and the M1A.
Yeah.
Like it's not going to be better than an RSS.
I don't know what to say other than like it's BSG. Like my expectations for them to balance stuff is pretty low. So I don't know, dude. Maybe the person who did it was also working on like the new recoil system, so they had like that like expectation in their brain. They're like, oh, I'm familiar with like how this is supposed to look in the new recoil system. So
no idea. It's just like it's so like this is the thing. And this is what everyone's saying is busted. Yeah, exactly. It doesn't fit right. It's like it's like here's the progression curve, and it's just like here's the SVT, and then it carries on after it. It's like why? You know, like it has downsides, sure. Like, can you beat people with it? Like, yeah, sure, but it's just bang for buck.
Yeah, like that's the thing. Is like, dude, for what you're paying for, like, I would probably still buy it at like 80k, honestly.
Yeah, how much is the AVT? How is that? Is that a lot more?
I think that one might be barter only, but I don't even know.
Oh, it is barter only. What's the barter for? I can't remember. Let's have a look. AVT barter. It is it's a teapot, dude. Come on, that's so cheap.
Just a teapot.
Just a teapot. Teapots are 45,000 removals. I mean, they're obviously going to go up in price when lots of people get to this. But a singular teapot, like, come on, man. Like, sure, it's got to be like a lion or something for that. Like, dude, come on.
But see, that's the thing. Is like. You're saying it's worth the lion. I think it's fine. It can be worth the teapot, but they just gotta change the stats. Like they should like put it in, like make it worse than the SVD. I think that's like a good starting point. It's like a worse SVD.
It can how about this? It could be better than the base SVD by like a little bit.
Sure.
So there's like a crossover point. But the problem is now it's like the SVD starts here. The SVD like starts here, gets to here, and the SVT is like as good as it modded. It's like, no, what?
Yeah. I mean, sure, it's not suppressed, doesn't have a laser or like a sight.
Yeah, you can't do all the mods. I know.
Dude, you just can't convince me that those things are more valuable than this. Like, sure, in like niche situations, but overall, I just feel like for what you're getting for the rubles, it's kind of
this is the point, right? Somebody in chat said, wait till people get their hands on the PKM and you'll see what OP really is. It's like 5% spawn chance on the boss. You have to get it out. That's fine. A gun like that can be OP. That's actually completely fine. I'm okay with that. It's not accessible at 40. If it was accessible at 40,000 rubles from Prapor 1, then yes, it would be OP. But it isn't, and it's about accessibility as much as it is about like just the actual performance in a vacuum. You know, that's the thing.
I mean,
it's mad.
Even then, I saw some videos of the PKM, and I don't think it's even that. I don't even think it's good. I dare say, like it has 132 recoil.
More recoil than the SVT. Let me point out.
Awful hidden stats. Okay, probably some of the worst. 25 dispersion. That's not like the worst, but it's pretty bad.
With the recoil, it's quite bad. Yeah.
1.15 convergence, pretty bad. I watched. Like, I don't know, dude. I watch people shoot it, and like it literally goes, like if you're standing and you shoot it, it just goes all the way up like 90 degrees in the air. Like it's insane. So you have to like Like you can't that's ADSing. So like if you don't ADS and put a laser on, it's like kind of okay. And if you want to ADS, you like basically have to prone and use it, like full auto. Like it's just I don't know. It just feels really weird.
That's sort of fair enough, I think. But
yeah, I get
yeah,
that.
yeah, I don't know. I will have to. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see about that one. But I don't know. Like, this is the thing. It's like everybody's talking about this SVT thing. It's just one of those things where I feel like I'm going to be killed by it a million times, and then whenever I use it, I'm just not going to be able to do it. Like, it's going to make me so sad.
Yeah, it's
honestly.
kind of unfortunate. I get that sentiment.
It's just going to be a full on, verified, well and true skill issue. 100%, and it sucks.
Yeah, I have a buddy that's also kind of like more into like he doesn't like semi-auto guns in general, so I got a feeling he's gonna have like similar, grievances.
Yeah, how am I gonna just pull down, bro? If I have to only fire one shot at a time, it's difficult, you know.
Gotta have them fast fingers, you know.
It's bad stuff. So 5.56 is also dominant. I think that's the other one. I mean, I much prefer 5.56 just because it's just much more variable. I suppose you have it's just much more flexible. It defeats the armor just fine. You get full auto, 30 round mags. It's like relatively cheap. So the G36C is really cool. I've been using that a bit. I think it's probably the best bang for buck. Like you can get the MDR or the SCAR, which is fine, and the slow fire rates. Like we had lots of conversations with Chad about this. So I'd be interested to hear what your opinion is. But basically, like the way that I see it is the MDR is quite expensive now. Like normally it's about 100k. You can get them for 80. People are selling them for 80 or something, but it's more expensive than it used to be for sure. And I don't know. It depends on like for me, it depends on what you want to do with it. Like the G36 and the MDR kind of have a sort of crossover point for me on full auto, probably about 30 meters, something like that. Further than that, the MDR is probably better because it has a longer reach for its full auto because of the lower fire rate. But closer than that, I probably want the G36 because I want the extra fire rate. And point blank, I certainly want the G36 because the 100 RPM higher, it's quite close to the M4 and it does feel pretty good without having the weird M4 jump because you have to mod the M4 quite a lot to make it nice. Whereas, the MDR, it is slow. So while it's stable, it does hurt TTK if somebody's right up in your grill. So it kind of depends on what you want to do with it.
Sorry, I'm trying to look this up on the wiki. It's not here. What's the recoil on the G36C? Like the stock recoil?
The stock recoil on the Trader is 68.
Okay, got it.
Which is not too bad.
Yeah.
To be honest, like I think the MDR is 63 or something. I'll just look it up
61.
Now. That's with the comp. Yeah, 61. Yeah. So we all know the weirdness about the bullpup situation, so that you can't really make it that much better than 61. 61 is pretty much it.
That's true.
Whereas with the G36, if you stick on the suppressor and the comp, actually, do I have one on? I think I died with my last one yesterday, so I don't have one to hand. But it gets to 50-ish. I think I was using. What was it? It was the SF3P, the regular monster, and an RK4 grip. So yeah, I was using mine at about 56 recoil. You can change the stock over and get it to 50 recoil if you want to take the ergo hit for mechanic. Once you get mechanic 2 at level 20, you can pay 14k for that alternative stock, the adjustable one. That takes off another 5 recoil points. So that you can get to 50 recoil on the G36, which is pretty good. I was using it in the 56 configuration with 5 more ergo because I was running it suppressed. I didn't think it mattered that much. Like, you're still going to have to pull down with 50 as well as 56, I think. And it's 14k more. But it's personal preference. But I think it's solid. I think it's a solid choice. They're all kind of equivalent-ish. SCAR, MDR, G36, except the AUG. The AUG blows.
The AUG what?
The AUG blows. But that's just because you can't mod it properly. I bought it and I was like, it's like I said in the video, I was like, I bought the A1 and I was just like, oh, I'm going to be so smart. Like, this is galaxy brained. And then I went to try and buy the A3 upper, but it's Peacekeeper 3. So I was like, oh no, I'm stuck with the 1.5 times scope on the top. Oh, let me just put something else on. I was like, oh, you can't change anything. Oh no. Like, I can't put on a rail. I can't put on a laser. I can't put on any sight. I was like, man, I did one raid with it and then sold it back to Peacekeeper or to Mechanic, I think. But
yeah. What about the SCAR? Are you like, what's wrong with the SCAR in your opinion, or it's just not?
The Scar is fine, but it's a bit complicated. It's a bit complicated because you've got the Scar, the long Scar, and then the short ones.
Mm-hmm.
And the long ones really sucks for ergo, and you can't fix it because you can't buy the parts needed to make it better, like the growl and stuff that you can buy later on. So I feel like you need to buy a short one, but then you go to the flea, and it's like you're looking through them, and none of them are 100% durability because they're all off rogues.
So you end up paying more.
And you can't buy them until level 3. So you have to either repair it, which is fine, and have it be at like 92 durability from the outset, or like pay up for one. I think you can actually do something slightly funky where there's mechanic cells are lower. I think at level 2. Once you get to mechanic 2, you can buy the lower from him, and then you can like fill out all of the parts. You could just like build one yourself at 100 euro, which is a little bit awkward. I think it ends up costing 70k, so it's about the same as the M4. Like it's not the worst. I think you can only buy the short barrel though when you're that low level. Yeah, so I could put together a functional Scar for 65k from the traders. It works technically. That's not too bad, but like, you know, that's 84 starting recoil. If I stick again, if I just to make them kind of comparable, if I build the same build as I did with the G36, oh gosh, I picked the wrong one. We'll put on the monster and then the RK4 again because it's like the best one you can get here. Yeah, so that ends up at 61 recoil. So it's higher recoil than G36 by 5 or something. Like it's fine. It's okay. Ergo's only 41. Like it's just there's just I think you have to make compromise with the MDR.
Or Scar, you mean?
Sorry, with the Scar, yeah. But you don't have to with the MDR.
Yeah.
I'd actually be interested to see like right now what the MDR costs. If it costs 70, then I think you just buy that. Okay, it's 81, and some of these are low Jira too. So get 100% MDR, it's like at 92k. Like people are pricing these quite well, I think, these days. They're all kind of in the right place. It's like the MDR has compromises, but you could build it for 65. G36 is 70k, but it's more modular, but it's got worse recoil on it because of the fast fire rate. The M4 is just silly and expensive because it's like fastest fire rate. MDR is pricey, but you don't have to do much to it. Like it's all kind of much of a muchness that you can. It's a hard choice, which is quite interesting actually in its own way. But yeah, I mean, I picked the G36. It just gets a little bit of getting used to the pull down, but otherwise, it's quite good, I think.
Kind of my argument is on paper, I think G36 is like the best overall. Maybe not.
It's got the tightest spread as well, like horizontal spread.
Yeah, it's same as Scar. It's 10, but the Scar shoots slower, and like sure it has 0.05 more convergence, but like that doesn't really. I mean, like it helps, sure, but
it helps a little bit. Yeah,
because it shoots slower as well, it helps a bit. But I mean, I just feel like as long as you can like train that muscle memory for the pull down, and like it's not too bothersome on like the eyes / optics, you know, because sometimes it's like in theory like the pull down works fine, except for like when you literally lose track of like your reticle in the crosshair, like then it's like feels pretty bad in my opinion, regardless if you're pulling down or not.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyways, as long as that's like manageable, I think the G36 is kind of better because it shoots faster. It's very linear, like vertical. Better ergo. Recoil is like pretty good. Like I don't know. Like MDR. It's like I think the MDR is worth consideration, but I think the other options are kind of like not worth.
Yeah, the MDR is always good. The thing about the G36, some people have like a weird, an understandable mental image of what it's like because they used the long version pre-buffs. And like the long version was bad, and pre-buffs it was really bad. Whereas now we've got like the C out of the gate with the short barrel on it. Right, you couldn't get the 2-vent handguard and the short barrel until Peacekeeper 3 or 4 before. Like it took you ages to get there. Now you could buy it out of the gate, and it had like 11 ergo added to the gun, like wholesale at one point. But it was too late, right? Nobody was using it then. Right. Like it was surpassed by everything else at that point. So no one went back to use it. Whereas now you come back to the C, and it's like, oh, the C's got like 15 more ergo than the long version, and it's got 11 more ergo than it used to have, like just across the gun. So like, man, this actually feels quite good. Like I can get above 50 ergo and it be suppressed, and have 50 something recoil. Like it's nice. It's like it's not the best gun in the world. It's not going to be meta. Like you can't meta fire it out like you can with a with M4, but like
yeah.
certainly it's certainly good now, I think.
I mean, for what you're
alongside the MDR.
getting, I think it's pretty. Like, I'm honestly surprised that they put the C variant on the level 2 Peacekeeper, because I felt like C was probably the best of the bunch. You know, maybe
Yeah.
the middle one is like a decent contender as well. The
Yeah,
long
the
one's
middle
just
one's
not
decent.
ideal because you can't change the foregrip, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. There might be some argument, but as lower anyways, I've tried to make the long one work, like even the stock, like some weird like site, use a stock site. It's just, I don't know. I think
Yeah, I know.
the middle to short are kind of the way to go. So anyways, I think it's like, I'm surprised they did that. I don't know. It's kind of
I'm
weird.
quite pleased because I don't think it's OP. It's just like a good option.
It's I think it's definitely better than the long version.
I think it's pretty balanced.
Pretty weird to say.
You
know, usually long is better than short historically in Tarkov, but I just simply that you can't change the grip on it. Like, you have to use that bipod. Like, maybe once we get the bipod support in, things will change. Maybe, you know.
Yes, because once we can like mount and mantle onto things, then that might be a huge buff for that particular gun. But I have to see how that functions and what changes that makes to recoil. Speaking of like losing sight picture and stuff, have you seen the new holographic?
Maybe
The Elcan Spectre holographic sight.
Oh, I have not.
It's cool. It's really cool. I used it a couple of times yesterday. There does seem to be something a bit weird about it, where it shoots a little bit low. Like it's a tiny little bit, like a tiny little bit. It's like, it's almost like I didn't notice it until somebody pointed it out, and it looks like it's height over
even at distance,
close range, but then at distance it still looks like it's sitting slightly under the center of the red skull, very slightly. You'll still get a headshot if you're targeting somebody, right? But like it's you could just about notice. Like, I wouldn't have noticed on my own probably, but it's so nice. The picture on it is so good. I actually think it's better than the XP 1.3, whichever one's. Like, it's so wide and the frame is so thin.
Yeah,
it's awesome, and it's not even that much actually. I think it's great.
Is it on traders or is it only found in raid?
Yeah, it's traders, which is quite surprising. I think it's Peacekeeper. I'll just go and have a look now. But it's very cool. Yeah, here we go. $163. It's actually cheaper than the XPS 3.0. Amazingly.
Yeah, I have to get
-2 ergo. So, but like it's the nice wide frame on it. I think it's really cool. Good. I used it very briefly on the M4 before it jumped face first into somebody and died. But the first kill I got with it was really really cool and really sweet. It's an excellent optic. I think it's a contender for probably the best holographic in the game, I think.
Yeah.
Which is $163 is well worth trying. I like it a lot. There's also a couple of new M4 parts. Nothing that's going to change the world.
Mm-hmm.
But there are a few different things that you can do with it now. There is a new barrel, which is called the Hansen 13.7. For all intents and purposes, it's basically, I think, a better version of the 18-inch barrel, I believe. Oh no, maybe not quite. Maybe not quite, actually. I must have had a compensator on or something. But it kind of sits between the... Oh yeah, it's like an upgraded version of the 370mm. So it's just like the standard barrel, but with two more ergonomics is basically it. There's a new handguard as well, which is called the AX1510. Actually, it's the AX1510.5. I think there's another one. I think there's a longer one. Where's that? Let me try and find it. But I'm not allowed that with the Hansen barrel. That's why I can't say it. Yes, there's the AX1510.5 and then AX15. I've gone and lost it again now. AX15 15.8. But neither of them are meta. I think this one is -1.5 recoil, whereas the Mark 10 and the other one is like -2. So it's not meta, but it's sort of it's another one that's better than the rest, but not quite as good as some of the others. It's a bit weird. I don't know. They've added some more parts for that. which is kind of interesting. And then I was actually just going through it now because I was making a video about this. Have you seen the all the new armors? It's not actually that many. I mean, most people have seen the Korakulon at Ragman 1 because that's the class 3
Right.
that you buy from him directly. It's like the new version there. But there's 2 more rigs with I think I talked about it last time. There was the rig with the USEC patch is the one that I found off some dude on like day 1. But then there's a version with the bear patch as well called the Wartech 115. They're both available on the flea, so you can buy them. They're class 3, sadly. But the bear, like the Wartech 115, has got really nice layout. It's like 2x2s and 3x1s, which is really nice. So in my mind, I was like, okay, we're not going to use this now. Like I'm already certainly past class 3 for sure. Like I get onto class 4 as soon as I physically can. And once you get to the flea, you basically could just use class 4 from then on, if you've got enough money. And I think it's probably worth it. But when the armor plate system comes in, it's a contender for something that'll be really nice to stick plates in because depending on how it works out and how expensive they end up being, like 3x1s early would be really cool to run like 40 rounders and stuff, which would be awesome. I don't really have a good way of running 40 rounders on my 5.56 guns at the moment, but that could be one of them. And then there's one new one with Peacekeeper 2, which is a bit weird. You normally don't get armors on Peacekeeper 2. But he's got this new ceramic thing called the Interceptor OTV, but it's ceramic and it's a bit expensive because it's 2 maps. I think it's also on Ragman 3 as well for 93,000. But yeah, again, it's a bit too much money, but it's interesting. They've only added 4 as far as I believe. I haven't seen any others come to the game.
Was the Banshee in last wipe?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think nobody ever saw that because that had a stupid barter. I think it probably still does. Shellback Banshee. Yeah, I think it's got some stupid barter. It was the same. Somebody was telling me about the Eclipse one as well, and I was like, yeah, the Eclipse RBAV plate also is in, but I think that was like military flash drives or something. Like these ones with like stupid barters just never get used.
Yeah,
which is unfortunate. But it is what it is. So yeah, I don't think that's going to change up the meta really. Like 3 more class 3s and a ceramic class 4 that's nearly 100k. Like that's not going to do anything, I don't think.
Yeah, but it's nice to have more class 3s in the game, in my opinion. Like it kind of makes me want to push the whole, more longevity in like the early game, less, unlocks later on. But anyways.
Yeah, because I think like Ragman 2 is a bit better now than it used to be, because before we used to be playing, I can't remember, was it last wipe? It wasn't last wipe, but I think it was the wipe before where the rat rate got pushed up to 70k. I think it was 2 wipes ago.
Probably.
Maybe it was last wipe. I'm pretty sure it was 2 wipes ago. Like, last wipe was so long, it feels like it just went on for all eternity. But now with basically, like, if you want a class 4, it's pretty much 70,000 rubles. Like, it's very little you can do outside of just spending 70k. So it has pushed out that class 4 a little bit. Not by much, but a little bit. I think it's well worth paying 70 rather than, 50 for a class 3. But you can get some cheapy class 3s. But yeah, it's just like probably still too much class 4 in the game, I think. As soon as you get past level 17, or probably as soon as you get to the fleet, to be honest, you're just like, well,
yeah,
I can
as
just
soon as
run
you hit
class 4 now.
15, it's just like, why bother running anything else but the class 4s?
I know. I'm just sort of like facing down just the compression and the destruction of the whole armor class system again for another wipe. It's like I'm level 23 now, which is like I've gone fairly speedy this wipe. In 3 more levels, I'm going to have Purple 3 and be able to buy the Corund. And then that's the end. That's it. Sure, I might run some better class 5s, but like, it's like that's kind of the end of the progression.
Right. Yeah, unfortunately. I mean, that was kind of like I was experiencing playing. I mean, this kind of happens every but just reiterating, it's 1 through like 14 is just like, a game, and then once you hit like 15, like the game just like completely changes. It's like you could say it opens up fully. I guess is one way of saying it, but it's just weird because like even 1 through 14, you're kind of playing with 15 in mind. You're hoarding a bunch of stuff to sell in the flea. And then once you hit like 15, like you just get so many more options. You also can just like make more money. Like it's, I don't know. It just like really changes the game. It's just weird because now it's like I really don't care Like if something costs, however much money, it's just like that just means I just play X amount of scav rates, It's like I never really fear going broke because there's like scav as a backup,
Yeah. And I think especially these days, like it used to be a thing, you hear about people talking back before the flea and like nothing was, and even then, even when the flea first came in, like, yeah, you could make decent amount of money, but like a lot of stuff, like the hideout didn't exist. And like bolts, imagine this, like a time when bolts and screws and stuff were just like, they were in the game, they had no use.
Yeah.
So you sold them to the traders for like 160 rubles or something.
They're like barter
like now you can pick up basically anything. Like there's only a handful, it's like if I look on the flea let's put it this way, if I look on the flea for a barter item and it trades at under 5k, I'm shocked.
Yeah.
And I think nails were doing that because they took nails off of the shooting range. So they made the shooting range a lot easier to build.
Dang, that sucks. I've been hoarding nails for no reason.
I think nails are now really cheap. I don't think they're really used for anything. Like maybe there's some really niche barters or something, and maybe something in the hideout. Like they're right now they're like 6k. I can't really remember. Yeah,
that's still pretty good considering they're not used for.
What are they actually used for now? They're used for
2 and 3
levels. Okay, and the weapons. Yeah, because
weapon stand 1. Okay,
and weapon stand 1.
So they might go up a little bit later with sick case and weapon stand 1.
Yeah, maybe.
Do you have weapon stand 1?
I actually don't. I've got the ability to build it now. Okay. Because you need mechanic 2, so you need to be level 20 at least to be able to actually do that. I probably could do it now, to be honest with you, but I just haven't. Because I was using my money for other stuff. I just like fluctuate between like 3 million rubles and like absolutely bankrupt.
Yeah.
And it's just the way it goes, right? It's just like save up, get to 15, upgrade loads of stuff, save up a load of money, get to level 20. Like it's when I normally would get to level 20, I just go completely like close off my back, like broke for sure. Because it's like workbench 2, nutrition unit, lavatory, water collector, like generator, and some of them are quite pricey, especially when you're having to like buy car batteries and stuff. Like I like to push through the hideout quickly because it can really make some decent money if you do, like an investment. But yeah, I mean, right now I'm sat at like 900k. Oh man, the thing that like going a bit off topic, but like portable bunkhouse key. Oh my god, have you done that quest? Did you like get somebody to do it yet? Oh my, that thing, like I bet it's not even on the flea now. Let's see if it's got better. Portable bunkhouse.
I just got my Tarkon director's key and found it.
It's not even on the flea now. Oh, there's one for 500,000 rubles.
Quick, buy it.
I already did this. I paid. It's gone. There's another one for 250. I paid 700 for mine, which was pretty punishing. So I was feeling quite sad. Yeah, they're both gone now. But yeah, portable bunkhouse key is like the SP8 machete of the early wipe, for sure. It's really rare. It's required for a task. There's no clever ways of doing it. You just have to either A, know somebody who's got it, or save up a bunch of money, refresh the flea and buy it.
Yeah. It's
the pinch point of game design, and you can't do any of the other Prapor tasks until you've done it. So, yeah. So I think it's like ice cream cones are the ones where you have to get the 60 rounders. Like, there's ways to do it. You can craft and wait for the time. You pay for the ingredients and like craft the things in advance and da da da. But like these things that have only got one way of doing them, I don't really know what purpose it serves to slow people down, other than just being like, Tarkov's hardcore game and you will suffer. It's like other than that, there's not really any purpose.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've been finding a lot of 206 keys for the Aquarius quest. Oh, okay.
So many. Okay. Like millions. I found 3 in one raid.
It's so annoying. I'm like, please, any other key but that one. Yeah, I think I also found 3 in one raid. So I don't know if that's like insane. A product of something they did or like if they buffed. Because it feels like there's more loot in general, but like, did they like multiply all the pools by? I don't know. It just feels really weird that I'm seeing a lot more 206 keys because I would love for it to be any other key, but like it's such a useless key, man.
Yeah, it's the Weedle of the Tarkov key scarcity universe. You know, you picture the scene. You know, you're 8 years old, like you finally got convinced your parents to buy you a Pokemon like little booster pack thing. You open it up, and it's like 4 freaking Weedles.
Exactly.
You're like, damn, that could have been other cards. You know, I don't need more Weedles. I got 15 already. Yeah, it's exactly that. But no, otherwise it's been okay. I've not really got stuck on anything else. It's just the bunkhouse key primarily. The other ones, I think I'm just trying to think if there's anything else. There was like I think 114 for therapist was expensive, but it was actually available. There's a few up there. Okay, they're actually 500k now. I think they were cheaper when I bought mine. But 114 is also one of the safe ones. It's one of the 2-story safe rooms as well. So I bought 114, 110, and like 105 or whichever. Is it 104, 105? I can't remember. Whichever one is the other safe one. Just so when we go there, we can go and hit all the safes. Because I'm still yet to find a single flash drive. Oh, another wipe with no flash drives at all. Have you found any?
I found one and another one, but I think I ended up dying. Maybe, yeah, at least I definitely died of one. I might have died of two, but I have one that's found a raid and then one that's not.
I'm just like the worst luck with flash. I literally haven't. This is like the third wipe. I just haven't seen one at all.
I don't even know where I got mine. Probably like a jacket or a safe. It's gotta be.
The only thing that's good now is you don't really need to do it. Like, yeah, skier questline is kind of locked behind it, but like, you get friend from the west now without having to do that. So
yeah,
it's okay. I'm like racing along Peacekeeper's line, and skier's just being left in the dirt. I wonder what his rep is compared to everyone else. Yeah, quite low, like 0.39. But, yeah, flash drives, man. Freaking flash drives. I can see it already. I'm going to end up crafting these in the Intel Center. I did this before. I'll do it again. I'm not afraid to do it again. It's certainly possible. I mean, I did it. There was another wipe where I crafted them. I feel like this is going to be, it's going to be another one of those. Cool. So, anything else fun that you want to veer onto right now? I feel like I've got a natural segue, but without just like picking another completely different topic. So,
have you played much Streets?
Okay, so Streets, yes and no. Well, yeah, sort of yes. I've played some Streets.
Mm-hmm.
I think Streets is. I really do like the new expansion.
Me too.
It's very cool, and it really makes the map quite well rounded.
Yeah, like I don't know what it is, but like I much prefer the new area than the old areas, and I don't know if that's just because like it's new and like it looks distinctly different. You know, like it feels more colorful, like unique. Like, I don't know. It's just something about the old areas. Maybe it's like the map flow too, but I don't even know how much the new areas changes the map flow, but just something about it feels good. Like I just like it. I don't know. Can't really explain it.
I also kind of know what you mean. I really do. I think it might be because previously it felt very claustrophobic, even though Streets was quite big.
Yeah.
It was one of those maps where, okay, say you're like, I pretty much use Pinewood Hotel as like my base of operations when I'm on Streets. It's kind of like it's where I call home.
I hate that area.
Really, if I'm at Pinewood Hotel, I'm kind of like, okay, I have to like cross the road in some fashion to get over to the post office or whatever. And if I go one way, I have to go through the post office hotspot. If I go the other way, I have to go past the theatre, which is just like scabs through Bush's City. Yeah. If I creep through the centre of the buildings around the factory zone, then I end up coming out on the main street in front of Lexos. I'm just like, like it's so hard to get around Streets without just getting murdered. Whereas with the new area, it's like, oh, now I can run across the Klimov Road over into the shopping mall on the other side. It feels a lot more. There's a lot more freedom, I think, with the new zone. Gives you a few more routes to go because the main street last time was just it's such a death trap. And even some like little fiddly things like you try to get into the underpass, but because of the way that they've set like the event collision box or whatever, like the sniper will like shoot you just trying to go in the underpass and things like that. Right? Whereas like now that doesn't happen. The underpass is now 4 exits. It's got the 2 usual ones, and then it goes all the way through, and then there's 2 more.
Yeah.
So you could go underground and not meet people. You can actually now move through Pinewood Hotel itself properly in more ways. It's not just the one corridor. You can actually move in the full square around the whole of Pinewood up on both the first and the second stories. I think maybe one of them's blocked. So that's super cool. And then like in the new bits, like the Terror Group building is awesome. You can walk around that bit.
Yeah.
And the extract next to it, which is the was it the Cardinal Buildings, I think it's called. I've not actually been to the extract at the Expo or whatever. I've not actually been to that extract yet, but I think that's just like the far corner. I always have both, and so I know where Cardinal is, so I always end up going there. I'm sure at some point I'll be forced to do something different. But like, also being able to go. Actually, there's one thing, as I was just about to talk about Concordia, that's the one part of the map that I'm actually slightly just a teensy little bit disappointed about is the fact that you can't go behind Concordia on the west. So where the crashed helicopter is, like you can get underneath Concordia, but you can't carry on round. And so it makes construction and Sparger still this like horrible bottleneck that you have to walk through.
Yeah, I know what you mean. I think.
And it'd be nice if there was a way around that left-hand side behind construction. I mean, maybe it's designed like that, so you can't just like skirt it or whatever. But yeah, I mean, at least you can kind of get. At least you can get out the back of Concordia now, and you can go down into the basement, and then you can actually leave out of the back of Concordia through the basement like ramp, which is kind of nice. That's like it's better, but yeah, the whole map just feels a lot more like free than it did, and it's like I always feel like now you're in the map flow if you're playing the old section because that's where all the hotspots are. But if you don't want to do that, you can just reject society and go off into the new area, which has no map flow really, and you can just like stroll around and have a nice time.
I guess that's maybe what I like most about it, because like it's like I never wanted, like it just sucked moving. You had to go through, like you said, if you wanted to go to like construction and you were on the streets, across from like Sparja, there's like the building to your left. What is that, like Check 15? I don't know. It's like the big one of the hot spots
Check 15,
there.
Yeah.
Plus you're just having to run through like this horrible hot, choke point construction, and even like going to construction Concordia feels awful because it's just like you're running. It's not great. And then what you got? It's like what's the other one that's pretty bad? Lexos, in my opinion, just like kind of bad. Especially now. Like I never want to go there, dude. The landmines. Like I just avoid it like the plague. Dude, I'm gonna go on a tangent. I'm pretty sure they're like invisible. Like you can't see. Like I don't know if they're landmines or claymores or what they technically are.
I think they're claymores. I think they can be seen, but
okay, they can't be seen. I thought they were invisible.
I think some of them are in bushes. So yeah,
it's just dude, you can't interact with them. It's like they intended for you to have the map up on the second monitor. It's like how they wanted you to play the game. It's just like, bro, why? I don't know. I hate it. It's awful. So yeah, that section of the map is just dead to me now. There's like zero reason to ever go there. But it's fine because I think the new things are really great. Like I don't know why, I just like the apartments, the elite apartments, and you got like the shitty apartments and the weird like school, cat, dog, veterinarian buildings. Like it's all just like the mini interchange. Even I don't know if you've seen that. Like there's a mini interchange. It's great.
Yeah, I think that's called the Klimov Trading Center. I extracted out of that earlier because I was just interested in trying to play a scav.
Same.
And that was pretty cool. But yeah, I do like the new section. It's good. And it's like winding streets. It feels different because it's not. Yeah. It's like, what would I even call it? I don't know. It's like, because like the main street is like, walking around like the city center.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas the expansion is more like, the winding alleys.
Yeah.
More so, which I think is quite good. Yeah, it feels good. I mean, I got stuck around in that area when I first played, but other than the little courtyardy bit, like the rest, it's quite intuitive actually. I like it.
Yeah,
I'm pleased with the way it functions. You can get up in even more buildings now, and it's mad. It really is mad. There's so much to know on the streets. It's crazy. The only thing that's been putting me off is that when the patch first dropped, my streets performance was absolutely appalling.
No way.
Like not even just like, oh, it's a bit bad. Like we're talking 35 frames unscoped.
No way, Giga.
It was so bad.
That is so unprecedented.
And I was complaining about it so hard. But this is the thing that weirded me out, right? I was complaining about it so hard, and then I played it. I was just like, people were like, oh, I'd love to see you play Streets. It'd be great to see you play Streets. I was like, well, I got some quests there. I guess we can go and check it out. We'll turn MIP streaming off to put it on medium, just see what happens. Because we were like fiddling around with it the other day. I was just like, oh, it's all broken. I was just like complaining like horribly. Played the map. It was great. I was like sat there in shock. I was like, I don't like this feels. I'm playing Streets and I actually can't. I'm playing above 60 frames. Like I can feel that it's smooth. I was like, I'm actually nervous. It's made me worried. I'm like, this shouldn't happen. It should be playing at like 50 FPS. So I don't know what's going on. It seems like, I don't know whether they did a silent update. Like there was no update, I don't think. Maybe there was a little one, actually. Now that I think about it. But I don't really remember seeing anybody talking about it, but it seems to have fixed something. Like, yeah, it still goes down to 60 or something, 55, 60 sometimes halfway through the match. But I had one raid where it didn't really go below like 80. So weird.
I don't know if it's like, I don't know if you toggled this by chance, but I was having the same experience, and then looking around, people were saying turn off reflex, and yeah, that was like that fixed it for me.
Yeah, I actually had reflex already off because of when I was doing the streets testing. It was interacting weirdly with my. Oh, because people keep asking me like, why have you got your frames limited to 100? And I'm just like, because if it goes, something weird happens to OBS. If I don't limit it to 100, if it somehow manages to free up CPU to completely uncap my system, it can like jump to like 125 FPS. And when it does that, my GPU just like hits 100%, and I get GPU throttled instead. But then OBS starts going chug, 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 and can't render the frames properly, even when it's in admin mode. And nothing I do will fix it, other than capping it somewhere where the GPU is not on like turbo overdrive mode, right? Which is about 100. When I tested it, I like the 100 seemed to be about right. I don't need to be playing it above 100 either. Like,
100's
I'm really not that bothered.
good.
Like 100 on streets is completely fine.
Yeah.
Most like I can't tell.
For 100 on streets.
I know exactly, and I don't get 100 on streets anyway. But in those rare moments when it jumps to that, sometimes at the beginning of the match, that fixed my problem of like, because originally, right, it was hitting 100%, sitting there for like 20 seconds, and it would kick out both renderers. Like all the streams would shut down. I had to stop my recording. I had to reboot all the streams back up. Like, oh my god, it was awful. So I set the 100 cap on there just to stop my GPU from like frying itself in my computer. For whatever it is that Streets is doing. It only does it on Streets, only does it when I load in as PMC, never as Scav. Like I talked about this before. So yeah, people keep asking me about that, but then I've got reflex off because that was also causing some stupid problem. Like I've had reflex on forever, and as people say, like, oh, reflex should never give you any problems, and I'm like, well, it did in Tarkov for a while before when I was looking at all this stuff, and like now it definitely does for loads of people. So they clearly need to fix something. There's one other thing I noticed. They did some kind of weird volumetric fog thing on streets. I only have seen it once in offline mode, but I was trying to I was just wandered into Concordia just testing settings, and I was just getting shot from just like who knows where until I put my scope up to my eye. Well, they don't render it through the scope, so you can just see completely clear as day. And there's a scav like wandering around one of the far buildings on Concordia, just blasting away with a 760 Vepr. Like on scope, completely invisible. He's like totally engulfed in fog. There's absolutely no way to see him whatsoever. You can only see him if you've got a picture-in-picture scope on. I was like, This was actually at the end of me being frustrated by like graphical settings, and I was just like, yeah, look at this. More rubbish. Look at this. Look at this crap. I was like, I was already really fed up, and that was just like the end of my that was the end of my rant.
I don't know if this is related, but I have noticed like sun or like certain like lights, like fire, namely, just being like egregiously bright and like over ballooned occasionally. Like I don't know if that's related to the fog, but like occasionally, like it was so bad. Like I'm running down the new area, like the main street, and you know where I'm running, it's like so bright, Giga. Like 80% of my screen is just the sun, and like the edges I can like see, and it's like I don't know why it's so. I don't know if that's a bug or what, but it's just like it was very odd.
It's really strange. I've seen certain lights, like some floodlights, do the mega bloom. So it's probably something they've done with the lighting and the settings there. I've not noticed it with fire, but yeah, I've had some floodlight. I thought I was being targeted by somebody with a flashlight on, actually, and I was like, and it was just a big like floodlight thing. So they've done something a bit strange to the lighting. Something unnecessary as far as I'm concerned, because I didn't think it was that problematic previously. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully, it's just getting better from here. Like, yeah, it performed really well yesterday, so who knows? But it's just a mystery. It's like people keep coming and asking, because I made a guide like right near the end of the wipe, being like, right, if you've got a 3070 and low VRAM, here's how you fix everything, and it was running beautifully on my system. And then the wipe came and the patch came, blew up everything. I can't use MIP streaming anymore. And MIP streaming for me seems to be totally failing. Like, have you used it?
Yeah, so I tried turning it on because I wasn't using it prior. And you know, I was running some tests and offline, and then I'm trying to remember because I did so many different things. I don't know. At some point, I turned it off, and I gained like an extra 5 frames, which is odd. Yeah, I think that shouldn't, because you would be lowering your overall VRAM. So with streaming on, so like, and it
it's a
should be
weird
a
thing,
smoother
right?
experience too, because you're loading in smaller textures first, and then they get scaled. Like, I don't know, it just doesn't really make sense. So I think something might be broken with it, but
So I think something's broken with MIP streaming. Some people were telling me, no, MIP streaming's fine. There's nothing broken with it. But I'm certain that there's something that's not working with it. Let me just see, because there was a video that I watched earlier, which was from a small YouTuber called Clementine.
I might have seen this video actually.
It was released 14 hours ago, and it was called "This Setting Can Make or Break Your Tarkov Wipe: MIP Streaming Explanation and Testing." And he did quite a thorough investigation into MIP streaming, and basically said like it was good before, but something has changed, maybe because of Streets and the expansion or the way that it interacts with your CPU. But the conclusion that he came to, which like broadly seems to make sense to me, is like MIP streaming uses more CPU, right? Because it's like hot swapping textures, so it saves on VRAM, but it's using more CPU. So if you're like right up to your, if your CPU bottlenecked, turning MIP streaming on can actually lower your overall FPS, but it should make even if you've got lower FPS, it should actually make it more consistent. So when he was testing like the 1% lows and the 0.1% lows, they were higher with MIP streaming on, but the regular at like 99% FPS was lower, if that makes sense.
Okay,
yeah. He was like, you're going to get less hitching with MIP streaming, but overall it's using more CPU. So
that's what I thought. I remember calling is like I felt more stutters, but I couldn't remember, because another thing I tried was like custom resolutions, and that was just like not. Just don't do that. It's broken. Like, it just doesn't work.
Okay.
I was getting like crazy stutters. Like, it would be like 60 stutter, 30 FPS, and then go back to. Anyways,
yeah.
Dude, it's so funny. Yeah, I watched this other video, not this one, but a different one from like 4 days ago about settings. That's funny. But that makes sense with the CPU and the 1%.
Yeah. Whereas, and I think, and that makes sense to me, so long as MIP streaming is working how it's supposed to be working. Now, for me, MIP streaming has got some kind of critical bug in it. This didn't happen last wipe, and this is why people keep telling me, no, bro, MIP streaming's fine. There's no bug in it. I'm just like, dude, take a look at this clip, and it might be something to do with like the memory leak, the
sure.
The infamous
boogeyman
memory leak. Oh, I just love memory leaking all over this game. Yeah. What did someone say the other day? They came in. They said, "Oh, make sure your RAM's like taped down with waterproof tape to stop the memory leaking out." I was like, "That's funny," but there's something going on where MIP streaming when it on my system or whatever. I don't know what it is, and other people have said that it's happening to them as well. Sometimes MIP streaming just fails. So the way that MIP streaming generally, the way MIP streaming is supposed to work is there's lots of different types of textures, and there's high quality down to low quality, right? And I was playing Streets in particular, and we loaded in, and it was like, PlayStation 1 style graphics. It looked like we were playing, I don't know, Red Faction 1 or something. And it was just really bad. I've never experienced Tarkov like that. It is super weird. What was very strange is, and I can't remember exactly the order of when I played what, I went to play Factory as a scav just while I was eating some food, because we were just chilling with chat, play some Factory. My character's there, stood there, the loading, all this stuff. Just before loading into the actual screen, you can see my player character model suddenly downgrade to like 1998 textures, and we load in with an MP5, like an MP9 with no sights, and it looks genuinely like Doom 2.
Yeah, that's funny.
It was so weird, and I sent this bug to BSG, but like on Factory that should not happen. Like, there's nowhere near enough textures on Factory to even remotely fill even 8 gig of VRAM. Like, I turn around, like the wall texture is just like mud. It's like the lowest res texture I've ever seen. And the thing that was crazy, and this is why I ended up starting doing this investigation into medium textures, was because somebody said to me on the Streets, they were like, dude, I run low textures and it never looks this bad. So what seems to be happening is there seems to be textures lower than low. The MIP streaming, for some reason, it gets caught or stuck, or I can't decide what to do, and it just goes, I'm just going to revert everything to the lowest possible texture that's available to me. And it's lower than the low setting. So when I played Streets on low and Factory on low, I was like, oh, this looks okay, actually. This looks fine. This looks way better than when I've got like MIP streaming on, because MIP streaming is like falling over in some way. So maybe it's to do with this, like if you got the game, because I've been streaming long, so, and I don't reset all the time. It might be to do with that. Like every time I've reset, it's pretty good. I even had the trader menus lagging the other day because I didn't reset, and I opened it back up again, and it felt fine. So there's some like, you play Streets once, you have to turn the whole computer off and throw it in a fire and buy a new one kind of situation going on at the moment. But there's certainly something going on with MIP streaming in those situations for sure, where it just like falls over and dies. That didn't happen last wipe. Like last wipe, it was the savior. It made everything look great on my PC, even with low textures. It made most things look good. Now I'm running everything on medium, and it also seems fine with MIP streaming off, and my FPS also seems fine. So I can't make heads or tails of it. Like I'm not going to spend 3 days looking at it again. It's driving me crazy. I'm going to stick with these settings until something else changes, and then I'll fiddle it when it breaks. Until 4 weeks or something, when things calm down a bit, and then maybe I'll invest a couple of days to actually investigate what's going on. Like maybe, but for now I just want to. I don't want to be messing about with textures and frame optimization. It's the lowest having to do that.
Yeah. I mean,
but
I did that for myself the other day because I wanted to get as much performance out of the Streets as I could. The thing is, it really doesn't matter when you go online. It's probably like, the 1% is probably like marginally better. Maybe the 99% are like, again, like minusculely better, but it's generally 50 to 60 FPS for me. It's just like, that is what it is. But like even it's funny because it's like so CPU bottlenecked. Like turning on post FX does like absolutely no performance drop. Like I could probably turn on clarity and probably not lose any frames, maybe like 1 or 2 frames. Clarity's kind of, I think it's clarity. It's kind
of loses me about 5.
Yeah, it's a bit of a taxing one, but it does help a lot of visibility. But anyways, it's the other stuff's like, it doesn't really, like on factory labs. If I could get below 144, it probably would have a little bit of a drop. But anyways, speaking of post effects, just gotta mention this because I think it's funny. So Abby did show me how to by the way, this does not leave the Scavtalk community. Do not tell Nikita. Showed me how to basically circumvent the Painkillers effects.
I've been told by chat a million times about this, so I'm not going to do it. I haven't actually seen it because I've not tried it myself. I said, like, they're going to fix this. So
I just think it's hilarious, man. So if you don't know, okay, when you take the Painkillers, you get the like RGB effect on the outskirts, the chromatic aberrations. Okay, well, if you know, like by default, Tarkov has like some inherent chromatic aberrations, but it's like very minuscule. But you can toggle it off in the graphics settings. So what you do is you take your Painkillers, you open up your graphics. Presumably you already have it off. So you need to toggle it on, save settings, then go back in, toggle it off, save settings, and then when you exit, the chromatic aberrations from the Painkillers will be gone. In addition, you're not a fan of saturation, you say? Well, just toggle on your post FX, crank up your saturation by 50% or 50. I guess it should be 50 value points. And boom. It's as if you don't got anything going on, baby. Mechanics circumvented. God, dude.
It's just turn rates all over again.
It really, I mean, I hate how they do these mechanics, man. I just like, I really, if it could be circumvented, like, I just think it's a bad mechanic. So I don't know. I'm not really too bothered by it. I mean, I do like that. Like, I do like the fact that Painkillers, like, you just can't, they're not like a catch-all solution now. So it does make like, oh, I took damage, I gotta like analyze what's, usually it's like, okay, fix your bleeds and pop Painkillers, you're good to go. Now it's like, crap, I got a black arm. So like, I'm pretty sure that causes pain, like the tunneling, but I'm not positive. I'm actually not positive. Definitely fractures does. So now you just can't like pop Painkillers and ignore the pain effects, which is kind of contradictory, but whatever, it's fine. It's a video game. So now you gotta be like, okay, do I fix the split? Do I take Painkillers in case my legs get blacked or something? Movements, it's I like that aspect. It's a little bit more thought provoking. You gotta like do a little bit more. But the I don't know, the visibility stuff, I just kind of like irritates me because there already is a lot of visibility issues in Tarkov, I feel like. So it's very that part's pretty annoying. So I am a chromatic abuser.
It's a tricky one because, like, I can see the thing is, if Tarkov had this in right from the start, we would all just have accepted it and they'd just be part and parcel with the game because it kind of fits.
Would
with
we
the,
have though?
I think so. It kind of fits with the general aesthetic of the game. Right? If you tried to remove it, people would just be like, "That doesn't make sense," because then painkillers would be like viciously overpowered. We're just
Remove
so used to
what?
painkillers, like all of the effects.
Visual effects,
You
or you
know,
mean like
the visual effects of the painkillers. Yeah, like the chromatic plus like the desaturation.
you're
I
saying?
think the chromatic is slightly too far, but if we'd had that all right from the beginning,
Mhm.
I don't think anyone would bat an eyelid. And the fact that the pain blur bleeds through painkillers, like the painkillers don't stop the pain blur. I still think that's kind of okay as like a balancing mechanic. Like the painkillers were so OP before, and you could tell because like you basically just wanted to be on them at all times.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it in general because of like
Right.
sharpness and like of just video quality and stuff. But that's like stuff outside of the game. Like in a game sense, if you're just a gamer playing Tarkov, you just want to be on painkillers nonstop.
Yeah.
All the
Well,
time.
I mean, you could technically circumvent the sharpness by just lowering your sharpness, like having no
Yeah.
sharpness and just always playing on painkillers, right?
Yeah, exactly. And people used to then circumvent the fact that the sharpness was a problem by re-blurring it by wearing a face shield.
Yeah.
Right, which is kind of interesting. It's what a lot of streamers used to do. Why a lot of streamers used to wear face shields was to make the visual quality better whilst being permanently on PKs, which is like weird. But I still think, and we had this chat again on stream, I still think, even with all of this, like it does prevent people from painkilling, but painkillers are still pretty good, right? They allow you to run on like two literal broken legs. Like it's quite a it's quite a powerful mechanic.
Yeah, definitely the yeah. I think that in of itself is worth it. It just sucks that the visual noise has been increased on two folds, you know. You have the separate chromatic aberrations, and then you have the fact that now you get the pain blur added on top, you know. It's like previously you had zero of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like
I do think it's
double.
I mean, I've said this. I think it's a little too far. I think that the blur as well is a little too far. Like I think that having the blur through like the blur of the pain through the painkillers is enough of a balancing feature to not require blur all the time, if that makes sense. Like if you're in pain, painkillers stop you from not being able to run, which is their buff, but you're still punished for having like a broken leg,
right,
by having the blur come through until you fix it. That incentivizes you to bring a splint and fix it. Like a lot of people that you see a lot of the Chad guys playing, they just don't fix breaks.
Yeah.
Like until the fight's finished, because it doesn't do anywhere near enough damage to you to not do so. And it doesn't impact your mobility whatsoever when you're on painkillers, right? So previously, fractures were really just a whatever. Like I sometimes didn't even bother bringing splints into factory because I always had enough painkillers for sure to get to the extract.
Exactly.
So there was no incentive to fix a break ever. And half the time you're point shooting, so it doesn't affect your arms, like there's no shakiness or anything. So like breaks literally didn't do anything in the game before. It was only on like long grades where it's like more survivally that it even mattered. Whereas now they will actually bleed through that blur, so that it gives you punishment. I don't think that the constant chromatic aberration is necessary because like you want to put people off, but like having a decrease in the saturation is that enough to put people off? I don't know. This is where I'm torn because like people would probably still pre-pain all the time if the saturation was down.
That's the thing is like you can just up your saturation. Like I can literally just hit like a hotkey on my monitor even if they took out saturation. Exactly. It's just like
whereas if with the chromatic aberration, once the ability to remove that through the settings is gone, that really will stop people from pre-painting because it really sucks. Like in a fight, you'll take it because you kind of know where the guy is, but for your general awareness. Having it on for general awareness is really awful. And so it's kind of doing the intended thing, even though it feels quite bad, even though I kind of agree with the design choice.
Right.
It also feels quite bad to do.
Yeah.
But like outside of the, third party, like top down view, as a player, I actually find myself much more incentivized to use short painkillers now. I actually think adrenaline is maybe better than
that's an interesting thought.
Proposol because like you want the fight, once the fight's over, you want that shit to go away.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's like a huge swing in player behavior. Is like what you're saying is now it's better to use painkillers when you need them, not preemptively. Which like I think is definitely what they were going for. I just play. I don't know. It's a weird thing where it's like this feels bad, but I understand. You know what I mean? Like it's like I get it. Like I don't know. I don't know what would be like. Like part of me, I guess, like part of my issue is like the saturation thing. You could just change. Like let's say they removed the saturation and then kept the blurry sides, and like there was no way to circumvent that. I think that might be like I might be able to live with that. Because like part of me wants like just put in. I know it's not like a flip of the switch, but let's just do addiction. Because I think that would be a
You're talking
more
about it.
incentive to like not constantly pre-med. Because they're like, I don't know, it's just like weird because if you're moving through like a hot area, I want to pre-med, pre-pain, because in the event I get shot in my legs, I want to have a chance to be able to get behind cover. You know what I mean? Because like if it's like, oh, just use it when you need it. Well, it's like when I need it is when my life is on the line. It's like, do I really want to spend 3 seconds fumbling out the little pill to take in my mouth to get behind cover? It's like, I don't know. I'd just rather. But then you pay the cost of the visibility, so maybe it's balanced. I don't know. I guess my main issue is like the saturation, if I had to be honest, because I just hate mechanics that can be circumvented with hardware. It's just really annoying, in my opinion.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like the blur you can't circumvent, whereas like saturation, as you say, you can kind of fiddle with it. Like there's things you could do. As you say, you could even do it on the monitor. Like in game, there's no hotkey to just increase saturation on post effects, but you could have it on a monitor setting to fix it so it doesn't do anything. Which is a bit silly. Whereas like, you can't fix the blur. Like, oh, you can now, but like you're not supposed to be able to fix the blur, and they can code that out so that you can't fix the blur.
Not legally.
So it's a level playing field. Yeah, exactly. Well, without actually hacking,
unless someone comes up with a monitor that increase sharpness on the edges of your screen, and it's marketed for Tarkov gamers.
That wouldn't fix it though. You'd need some kind of like proper inverse filter. It'd have to be like it would have to be something really specific. Like you couldn't just So it's funny. Like this is the thing. Like I feel like they're getting to where they want, but addiction might be a better solution. Just like. Yeah, it's really great, and you want a painkiller all the time, but like then you're going to have the downsides of addiction when you're not on it, and then it's up to you to kind of balance it in a kind of more metagame sense. Something that comes and goes over maybe like 10 raids, 20 raids. Like you don't want it lasting forever or anything, but if you push it too far, maybe you have like a raid or two of issues, and then if you keep pushing through, then maybe you have like 10 raids where you're just like really shaky no matter what you do. Kind of thing.
That would be fun.
Stuff like that. Yeah, it'd be cool. Like, it's up to you to kind of manage that, like decide when you need to do it, which would be sort of better in some sense. But we'll see. They keep talking about it. I think they're still putting it in, but I can't remember when they last spoke about it.
Yeah. At any rate, I think overall it's probably a good thing. If they were to change anything, saturation would be top of my list, but otherwise, which I think is just unlikely. But otherwise, it's interesting. It changes gameplay, which is more interesting than pre-painting 24/7. So
yeah. So, oh man, I had this is completely different. But have you tried the Helmet flashlight yet?
No.
I keep bringing in helmets with flashlights on them constantly. Do you know why? Because I run out of space in my bag. And I'm like, there's a flashlight on this guy's gun. Oh, I can min-max this by putting it on my Ratnik helmet, right? But the Ratnik helmet is angled this way, looking to the right, which means that when you put a light on it, in the icon, you can no longer see it. So the first time that I realized that I've got a light on my helmet is when I'm loading into the next raid because it's on my dude, and my dude's now looking to the left. And I'm like, no, it's another flashlight. No, that was from that other raid. Like all my Ratniks have got flashlights on them or something. But the other time I put on one of the Clash ones, and we were wondering about it. It was actually in offline, but I loaded in. Someone was like, "Why have you got that on the side of your head?" And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I accidentally put it there." But then I realized it was one of the like combo ones. So I was like walking around with the laser on instead, just using it as like a laser pointer, pointing at people and like pretending to be the Borg and stuff. It was goofy as hell, but it was super funny because you can just like put it on the. And we were talking about like almost like some new meta stuff, like trying to invent something that was going to be like different. Like you have your. You put the laser on your head, and then you put the laser on your gun, and then you like make people think it's like there's two of you. You like lean in with the head. It's like red laser, and then you turn it off, and then you lean with the blue laser, and like you make it think there's two people, even though you're playing solo. I mean, I think that's probably too galaxy brain. You're just going to get shot in the face. But like, I'm sure there's something that you could do.
I mean, you could do
really funny.
Toggle weapon flashlight on like T, let's say, as press, and then also toggle helmet flashlight as T release. So then it's just like you just had him. Yeah, exactly. You just start spamming that.
That's really funny.
So was it infrared laser on helmet to blind night vision? I mean, maybe. The only thing that's like just kind of weird is like how it's angled down. Like
a little bit. I didn't think it was that bad. I tried it. I've heard people talking about this angling down thing. I didn't think it was terrible.
Yeah, but it's just like, I don't know. I'd have to like test it against a player and see like if you're looking at like head level, let's say, how effective is the helmet flash? Because if it's like even slightly angled, not slightly, but if it's not angled properly, then they're not going to get the blinding effect or whatever you want.
Yeah, I think it'll be quite bad now, actually, just against people. Like, you're not going to blind somebody. It's not going to be like, the spotlight to blind somebody on your head level, I don't think.
Yeah, and then even then, it's like, okay, so you're playing nighttime, let's say you don't have a flashlight slot on your weapon, but you put it on your head, but now it's like your light is illuminating downward where you're looking. So, like, it's just, I don't know, I just feel like it's not going to be that useful. So you'd have to like tilt your head up, either free looking or with your mouse to see where you. It just doesn't sound that great to me. But it sounds like one of those things. Like PSG is like, we really want to add this because you can do this in real life, and it'd be really cool if our video game had this. And it's just never gonna get like. Remember? Yeah. Anyways, let me not.
It's like the one place where it's useful is when you're wandering around looting and like interchange or whatever, but it's somewhere where there's actually no advantage to having it on your head. You may as well just have the light on your gun.
Yeah.
Like it functionally does the same thing, but it's more controllable on the gun. So it's kind of pointless. But yeah, it's quite funny. Especially given that you can put a laser on there. Maybe someone will find something hilarious. Abney will probably find some stupid strategy. He's like, I laid up, this Tarkov strategy fooled them all into thinking I'm a 5-man. And he's got like 4 ratnets on the floor with different colored lasers and then him around the corner. That's going to be the next video. You heard it here first.
I heard something in passing. Like, I don't know if maybe I misheard, but something about like a flashlight helmet bug / abuse.
Oh, yeah, this is true, apparently.
Oh, do you know anything about it? What is it?
Oh, did you not know what it was?
No.
Oh, okay. So apparently the deal is if you put a flashlight on your head and you turn it on, and then you take it straight from the slot and you put it on your gun,
it stays on.
It's still on for you, but not for anyone else.
Classic. I'm guessing they patched that. That's what you're saying.
Not sure. I don't know. I haven't used it. People just keep telling me about it.
Well,
apparently it was Erotic popularized this one.
Shocker.
So yeah, I mean, I found out you can do that, but I've not tested because I don't play with anybody either. So like, I'm never sure if it's working because it's like, how can I know? It's always like a bit nervous when you're on your own trying to do those things. It's like when I've been doing a lot of like silent crab crouch walking and killing people recently, which has been quite fun. One time it caught me off guard because, well, I was stupid and someone could see my shadow. So it's like, you may be silent, but you're not invisible. But I think it's silent. It's not silent for me and my client, but I think it's silent server side. People keep telling me it's silent, and I keep killing people with it, so I think it is silent. But it's one of those things. Unless you're playing with 2, it's very hard to know sometimes.
Yeah, the audio is just kind of killing me right now. I don't know if I should like I'm finding like localization really difficult, like directional. Like I'm often like spinning around, and the guy just like one taps me. Just like
you
really
play binaural.
Yeah, like I played binaural, and then I had like one experience where I like mainly it was the bushes that was like really jarring for me because like you pass through them and it sounds like it's behind you, which made me think someone's behind me passing through a bush. But I've gotten used to that now because I played it off and then switched it back on. Because what happens is I played it off. I was in dorms in the kitchen on 2-story dorms, and what had happened was there was like a guy that came in down the stairs and like Scav boss, I think, from across that 3-story shot at him. And so I went to peek and like shoot at the player to try to kill them, but like they weren't there. They were like on the steps. So I like ran up to them, shot at them at the steps, and Scav, they weren't there. But I was just like pre-firing anyways. But then Scav bots started shooting at me, so I got messed up. So I went back. So I was healing in the kitchen, and like I could hear them like running around and moving, but like it was so like muffled and distorted. It sounded to me like they were on second floor, like running above me. But it turns out he just like leans around the corner and just like full autos me. And I was just, oh, that was weird. And like what was even weird about it was like as he was coming around the corner, like I could see him, he wasn't like, it's like his audio didn't come in yet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I don't know. But that's the thing.
I managed to unclip my headset, sorry. I managed to punch the cable. Hold on.
You're back. Hello.
There we go. We're back. Yeah, your audio, you just said your audio hadn't come in while they're coming around the corner, is what you were saying.
Yeah. And that was with binaural off, so I was like, okay, maybe I need binaural on. But I'm still having an issue where it's like I hear someone and I'm like turning around to try to localize them, and I just get one tapped, and I'm just like, I don't know where. I don't know. And like buildings are like, actually I think buildings sound a bit better now that I'm playing with binaural. Like I was playing dorms, and like, I mean, granted I was on first floor, so like I knew he was like at least one floor above me. I don't know. I guess I need some more time with it, but I'm just localization. And I guess to be fair, most of the localization issues outside of like buildings have been related to streets, where it's like I don't know exactly. Like there was this PMC that was like coughing and dying, and like I was inside one of the newer areas. It was basically the mall, the Kilmov mall.
Oh yeah, the Klimov trading mall or whatever.
And I was like trying to find this guy, and like I couldn't like I could hear him like in a direction, but I don't know if he was like up, down, like how many walls was, it's just like, I don't know. I think it's mostly a learning curve, but it's just frustrating in general.
Yeah, it's a bit of both. Like I've had my fair share of situations. Somebody in chat was saying earlier that they were feeling that binaural might not be working. And I don't really know, because I've had binaural on for so long. It's hard for me to tell whether it's working or not. But I've certainly had a bit more front back issues recently, which does make me think, And then there are some strange situations that I had at the end of last wipe. I had a weird one in dorms again. Somebody might have just crept, but he was stood up when he popped around the door. I was on the ground floor next to the staircase. So if you're coming down from the stairs, I was just on the right, looting bodies. And it sounded like this guy was outside. And then he just like came round the corner from the stairwell. I mean, I know classic Tarkov stairwells, right? But like he was completely silent. He managed to move through the building silently down to that point, and then was stood up. Maybe he'd like crouch walked, stood up, and then strafed out. Like could have been. I was making loud looting noises, trying to like bait the guy in, and like I sure did bait the guy in, and he sure shot me in the face. But I thought he was like miles away. I didn't even think he was in the building. So I have had some weird situations like that. The really weird one I had recently on streets was in the new area. I think it was either in or very close to the vet building. And there's one. It's kind of like an east-facing, like ground floor, like hallway or something, and it looks out onto this sort of courtyardy thing. There's a brown shed thing and some railings and stuff. And there's like an apartment complex.
Yeah, I think I'm talking about.
Yeah, and I could hear this scav, and it sounded like he was quite far away, really muffled. I was like, oh, okay. And I just like wandered through, had a lean. Yeah. Can't see him, so I'm just going to walk along and try to find him. I walk like a meter to my right along this bit, and suddenly get like 7mm buck in the left arm. I was like, oh, what? What? Like turn around, and the scav's like somehow to like perched himself perfectly behind one of the, like between the two windows in the window frame. So when I leaned, like I couldn't quite see him, but it sounded like he was ages away. So when I moved into the window between the two, he could see me and just shot me like from 1 meter away. But it sounded like he was miles away, but it was because it was really, really muffled because he was completely occluded by the thing. But like in real life, right, the sound would come like round the...
Right. That's the part that's like, I feel like that's happening a lot to me. And it's making it really frustrating, where it's like, it's occluding when it should just be sounding like it's coming from that direction. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's too soon to tell for multiple reasons.
And I think that also the learning thing makes it more complicated.
Exactly.
So when you're in somewhere like dorms, you just kind of assume, you go, oh, well, if it's occluded, then they must be upstairs, right? Like that's your brain automatically tells you that because you start to learn that over time. But now it's like, oh, well, it's occluded. Like maybe they're just behind something. Maybe they're upstairs. Maybe they're not. And if those things sound the same, then you can't start to differentiate. Like they need to EQ balance like upstairs differently to someone behind a wall in front of you on the same floor. Because even if it's not like realistic, if those two things sound different, after practicing enough, your brain will eventually sort it out, and you'll just know without having to think about it. But yeah, if those two things sound the same, then it ends up starting to feel a bit weird. So
yeah,
we'll see.
it's a tricky one. That's all I can say.
They keep fiddling with streets and stuff as well. So that's the thing. It's like they keep fiddling around with it and changing stuff, and I think that's the problem. It's like different every time.
Yeah,
you know.
Well, I'll probably keep using it. Just
same, because it's the thing they're working on, and
yeah,
they'll hopefully make it better and better.
Yeah, like the bush tank. Once you get used to that, like it makes sense. So like, it kind of works. It's just like getting used to it. So perhaps the other stuff is like that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Not too sure. Yeah, other than that,
have you changed all your med binds? Are they working properly?
I think I did change them, but I still don't really use it. I just don't have one of those like habitual things.
Yeah, I don't know why. Whether it's because I made the video on it, and so it's kind of like more firmly ingrained in my head. Because like I looked at it and looked into all the mechanics and looked at the binds and looked at what was possible and what's not possible and what's the best thing. That sometimes helped me just to like get it in my head myself, because like I've spent a decent chunk of time looking at it and trying it and knowing what all the combinations do. Because I was like, is this going to work? I'm quite pleased the medbind does actually work with my like double hotkey setup, which is quite cool. But you will always heal a heavy first with my system.
Yeah.
So if you've got the heavy bound and then you've got the other one, because it's the one on release is the one that will do it. So if you've got one on press first, that will always happen first. But that's fine, because I always want to heal a heavy, I think. Like the only situation I might not want to do that is like heal my thorax specifically. So there's always a concern. I was thinking about this and I was like, you've got your regular meds. Like if you do want to heal your thorax, you could bind the next key on a cheese. That's like your thorax healing cheese or whatever. It's the only one that doesn't interact, and that's on. So I've got 5 press, 5 release on heavy bleed / medkit, and then 6 is just cheese on release. So if I do just I get shot in the chest and I have a heavy bleed, but I want to heal my thorax first, I could do that, I suppose. It's a I don't know. It's quite. I think it's good to be able to pick. I do like it. It's fun.
Do you like the experience so far?
Yeah, and also it feels a bit better. Like the problem when you're in your inventory and you try to heal, but you're already healing. You try to cancel the animation, but it's not quite done. You can't drag the med kit because it's stuck in your inventory because it's in motion of being used. Right. You drag it, so you miss the end of the animation, so you have to go back. You have to drag it again, and sometimes you drag it, and even though it doesn't drag the med kit, it still heals the next part anyway because it's somehow picked up that you were dragging the kit, even though it didn't actually drag on your cursor. Like there's all of this stuff. It's like the inventory's kind of janky like that. The scroll thing has none of that because you can select the part before the animation's even finished. So you can like cancel the animation, use the scroll, wait for it to just finish, and then just let go, and it'll just do the next one. So it's
nice. Okay,
it's quite nice. It feels more fluid. Like it just works better because it's a newer feature, and they've actually spent time doing it. And it actually works well. Like I often, I don't know. I wonder whether either they're just getting better with their own coding or their own design philosophy or whatever, or like maybe they've like hired some new people to do the new systems who are like more experienced or something. Because like some of these new things, like we were talking before about equipping body armor, and there's like a search, you can have a list or an icon thing. Like some of the new features, like brand spanking new features that have just come to the game are like immaculately designed and actually work really well, and the UIs are awesome.
Yeah,
and this has never happened before really in the history of Tarkov.
Well, I do speculate. I mean, I think this is unlikely, but not impossible, as I wonder if like someone like Veritas, submitted something sometime, perhaps not recently, but maybe some time ago, and then this is sort of like birthed from that.
Maybe. Or just
know.
people who think in that same vein, and then because the thing is, it's one thing coming from the idea, but there's a second thing to implement it in a way that feels good and doesn't have these like weird quirks to it. And a lot of these systems, there's the fact that most people are talking about, like, you look on Twitter and stuff, and people are talking about, this wipe's kind of the same, like, kind of, bit bored of it, like, leveled up, it's kind of fun, but whatever. And or like, oh, there's tons of cheaters in labs against the Chad guys, and Streets doesn't have very good FPS. I think that's probably a huge win. Like, all these new features have come to the game that are really good quality of life, and everyone's just kind of gone like, yeah, great. And like the things most people are complaining about are these other like usual long-standing issues. Nothing to do with the new stuff, which is, I think it's an enormous win, honestly. Like, it shows they did a good job with them. I know they're not huge game changers, but some of the trading UI and stuff is actually quite big.
I mean, like, you're right, but I would also say that if the bar is like, we expect stuff to be broken, then I just feel like the bar's, you know what I mean? Like,
I mean, it is. That is the bar. You expect every wipe for nothing to work.
Right. So I just like it's like we're celebrating, that AAA game release, like, bug free, like Baldur's Gate, for example. Like,
to be honest, we probably would, and everyone celebrated Baldur's Gate because it released bug free. Because no AAA game releases bug free anymore.
Which is just like, I just think it's just a really bad bar. Like, it's just not good, in my opinion. But anyway, that's a whole Baldur's Gate 3
isn't, but that's the reality. That's the situation we're in. If Tarkov releases with a feature that's complete and actually functions correctly, then we're gonna just shout from the rooftops, because that's it's novel and unprecedented.
Yeah, I mean, it's good.
Mm-hmm.
One less thing one less pain point. So it is a pro for sure. God, I can't wait for the next update, dude. It's like, because I'm probably gonna play till like I get the Shoreline quest. Once I get the Shoreline quest, I'm probably gonna fall off because, dude, just so much running around Shoreline. I've done it so many times. It's just like, I don't know if I could do it again. Plus, I want to play.
Started on it.
I want to play Armor Core 6 that's coming out in next week. So, yeah, we might take a break and wait for next wipe. But tell me about 762 PP on Prapor 3.
I don't really know yet. Because
now, why the heck is it in the dock, Giga?
It's interesting. Yeah, it's interesting. I was worried about it before, but now, because 56A1 is on Peacekeeper 2, right?
Yes.
But now 55A1 is on Peacekeeper 3 after completing the cult part 1.
Yeah, that's true. I forgot about that.
So it's basically where 5.6. It's a little bit. So it's like a hybrid. It's like where 5.6 used to be in quests, but on Peacekeeper 3. But Peacekeeper 3, lo and behold, is level 23. I already have Peacekeeper 3.
Is that new, you're suggesting?
Well, I mean, it's Peacekeeper. Well, as in, like, he's always level 23, but like normally you need to get to level Peacekeeper 4 to buy
I see what you're saying.
5A1. Whereas now they've brought it back to the quest. Like, I have the cult part 1 in my tasks right now. So if I complete that, and then I do 6k more spend, I could buy 5A1, right? Like, I could do it. Like, if I was playing for a couple of hours, like, an hour or two, I could then buy 5A1, like, today. So that makes me feel that PP might not be too problematic. Because when I first saw that they were adding the intermediary round, I was like, oh boy, this doesn't just buff 7.62 guns for the mid game. This also buffs BP, because you can stack the PP under the BP. Right. There's way too many Ps, but it stretches out your BP mileage, because people don't just have to use PS. And so it sort of like implicitly buffs the higher tier ammo. And it's the reason why nobody uses, and they've also sort of fixed, why nobody uses 300 Blackout, because AP is great, but it's craft only. M62 kind of sucked and wasn't really worth stacking underneath, so people just didn't. Whereas now you've got this like CBJ round, which is sort of in between. It's like 55A1 of 300 black, and then AP is like the M905 of 300 blackout. So you can stack those together, and that makes sense. And one's pushable on the traders, and one's craftable. It's like, okay, this is all right. I am slightly disappointed. This is a slight tangent, but I'm slightly disappointed that M62 is not available for 300 blackout at Peacekeeper 2 as well. That would have been a good change because
that's a good point.
Because it's on Peacekeeper 3 still, and no one's going to use the MCX. Like it's now imbalanced. But I mean, they didn't really do like massive balance changes. They just like pushed some stuff lower without thinking too hard about it, I think, which is fine. But yeah, to balance it properly, it should also be lower. But either way, I'm going to be interested to see how it ends up like playing out because, as we said, it's 41 pen, I think, this thing. So it's not like it's not out of this world crazy. It's just a bit better than PS. I think if it was 44 pen, the same as like 55A1, then it'd be a bit different. But yeah, like we ran the simulation. It's like 4 shots against class because you even have to hit them twice before it's going to go through on most class 5s.
Yeah,
and it's 900 rubles a shot. So it's not that good, and it's expensive.
Yeah. I mean, what do you think as a whole? You know, from like a holistic perspective about this whole like, you know, tier 2 traders having like 5.5 or 5.6A1. Yeah, like it's like they brought. It's weird because like they went like one direction and they kind of like went back. They like brought things down even lower.
And lots of people are speculating because it's a short wipe. That's why, and then they'll put it back for the next one, which they probably will forget to do so.
Yeah, I don't know.
Don't think it's good holistically because it made armor just like even more relevant.
Yes.
So you basically need like class 5 to deal with like Peacekeeper 2 ammo available at level 14.
Exactly.
That's the issue.
I mean, it's still class 4 is still okay against 6A1.
It stops you getting 2 shots.
Yeah, it's like it does something, but like we're really pushing the limits here of what class 4 can do, right? And we're talking like straight out of the gate, level 14/15. It's just kind of
we're talking about the point in time when you can't actually buy class 4.
Is it like 150 or 120 per reset? Like you can get
buy 150 per reset.
I mean, it
was 300.
Oh my god!
And then they changed that quite quickly.
Who did that? Who does these? I'm gonna find the guy and take him for on. No, I'm just kidding.
They did change it though. They were like, "Oh, okay, everyone's buying 300 rounds of a go of this."
I mean, I don't know. I jump back to SVT. SVT. I still think it's crazy. I can buy 120 LPS. Even the FMJ is like okay-ish. I mean, it's not great, but even that's like I like the new intermediate. It was, anyways. I really would like. I mean, I feel like I said it a thousand times, so I won't labor on. But I would really prefer my armor to do something. So shove the ammos, you know, higher up, further up along the progression. But at the same time, someone said something to me that was funny. It's like, I'd rather get one tapped because I don't want to have to deal with the blurry and aim punch. Like it's almost a worse experience than getting one tapped. Like, I never really thought of it like that. Like you kind of bring a good point.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it also sort of breaks the progression a little bit. I mean, it's the game's different now than the way it used to be. Well, I quite used to enjoy the path to 5.6A1, right? Like using 5.45 up until then, using PP and PP and whatever. And this time it's like, I don't think I've bought PP. I've actually sold PP. I've not actually bought anything. I think I maybe bought a little bit. I thought I bought 100 for a 74U at one point. But I basically went from like using rounds I found in raid for 5.45 to buying 5.6A1. And just completely cut out that middle section. I've not so far not used, outside of like the very early wipe where I was just using whatever, I've not used a long 74.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like there's something wrong with the balancing now of the way that the guns get modded.
I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nice that you get all this access, like viability to all these 5.45 or 5.45 guns, like 5.56 guns.
5.56, yeah.
Like that's nice.
Yeah, it's good, but the way that the progression has gone,
Right.
so people were progressing too fast, right? And like it was too easy to get early stuff, so they changed things a little bit so that okay, the AK-100 handguard is gone. You have to be
Yeah.
gunsmith. You can't get the butt pad anymore.
Right.
Like all the suppressors kind of suck.
That's true.
Like without the handguard and the stocks, like you can't like that's most of the modding for an AK.
Yeah.
Yes, they brought back the stuff for the 74Us, but the 74Us got a load of mad buffs. So now you can actually
Right.
make better 74Us
It's
than you
so
can long
weird.
74s. But by the time that you get to like trader level 2,
Mm-hmm.
I still can't buy the AK-100 handguard, and I still can't buy the butt pad. But I can I can mostly mod out a G36C.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I'm not going to ever use an AK-74. Like, why would I? So the long AKs are basically dead completely. You're either using the shorty, or you're using a 5.56 gun, or you're using the SVT. That feels like how the meta's gone now.
Yeah,
As somebody points
for
out in
sure.
chat, Kinder pointed out in chat that they moved 55A1 to trader level 3, but kept M80 at Peacekeeper 4.
Yeah. It's
Because I was like, oh, the RFB is going to be great this wipe. Well, like, okay, I mean, sure, it probably would be in a vacuum, but like, you can fire LPS out of the SVT for 50k. So who's going to use the RFB? The RFB is actually cheaper. The RFB is only 30k. But again, what's the point when you can fire
right.
LPS out of it? You know, like you got to fire BCP if you want to shoot the RFB. And BCP FMJ is okay. It's all right. It's 83 damage and 35 pen, but LPS is 81 damage and 42 pen. So
Right.
BCP won't deal with class 4 straight away, and it's semi-auto, but LPS will. And it's on Prepod 2. So yeah, SVT. And it's, yeah, once you include the scope, it's like half the price. But you know, the RFB is more modelable, so I don't know. But the RFB's got more recoil than the SVT.
Yeah. Balancing has not been BSG's strong suit, in my opinion.
No, I mean it's fine. Like it doesn't matter. It's okay. But yeah, the RFB has 136 recoil
Oh.
out the gate, which it's got good hidden stats at the RFB. So maybe that makes up for it. I'm not sure. But yeah, I feel like that's kind of the meta now. It's just like 74Us are good.
It's
Five
just
six
still
is
weird
good.
to me.
It is weird. And the SVT. That's kind of the way it is right now. And
Yeah.
most people just ignore the 74Us, to be honest. Just go straight for 5.56.
What were you using before Flea?
Pre-flea, let me think actually. What did I use pre-flea? I think I used a lot of 74s actually. I can tell you. I've got them all kind of listed just because of the way I archive my stuff, which is quite useful. I was SKS, VPO 136, VPO 136, MP5, AK-104, AK-105, MDR for a whole bunch, and M4 once, which I regretted, never used it again. Then I used the AK-74U for like 5 raids, then the SKS. Then I used the UMP and the PP19 a load.
I guess I was doing it wrong.
for a little bit, and then went in basically into the G36 for like 2 streams.
See, I was using because I went bare, I was using AK-74Ms, and like they were just not like I didn't realize this, but I should have just sold that. Well, I don't.
And bought the U.
Is that true though?
Yeah. You can mod the U's at level 1.
Oh, okay, that's a fair point. Plus, you
can get a handguard and a vertical foregrip and a mount for the 74U right off the bat.
Yeah, and it has Oh wait, no. Where's the just consulting the hidden stats, of course.
They have good hidden stats. Yeah.
Well, the U doesn't have as good dispersion as the M does. But it's like, 15 versus 19. That's not too big of a difference. And, convergence is 1.65 on the M versus 1.7. Again, not too big difference. So they're relatively the same, but it's the U has less base recoil than the M. Has 64 versus 68. It's just like, I don't think their balancing is so weird, man. So, anyways, I've messed up, and then I switched to the. Did you use any 9mm?
I used the PP19.
Okay, so I've been using a little bit of the MP5. I wish I used it more, but I don't know how they
Because I used the PP19 because it's on Prepper 1.
Fair.
So I could just buy it. And then because it's got a dovetail, you can just stick a scope on.
Yeah.
Because the MP5 one I didn't want to use because like in day one, the MP5 mount is just sold out permanently.
Yeah, that's fair.
So you can't attach a scope. So I was like, okay, we'll use. And I also prefer the PP19 like on day 2 or whatever when I used it because the lower RPM means you can just like base tap people with PST.
Kind of what I figured.
Whereas the MP5 is like, it's fine, but I don't really want to be shooting at people wearing class 3 and 4 armor. Because even scavs have that, right? So it's like, I don't want to be shooting at people with class 3 and 4 armor, like with PST. It feels bad. Sometimes it takes a really long time to kill somebody, especially with the arms and stomachs and legs and stuff. And then you have to get through the armor, and it's like, man, you're like emptied a whole mag, and someone's like nearly dead, but not quite. I used the UMP for a little bit. It was the only thing that I can say about it is that it was fine. Like it did work. I killed a bunch of people with it, but it didn't feel like the time to kill's slow. The bullets are okay. The recoil is okay. The mag capacity is okay given the fire rate. The price is okay. It's like it's very, very average. Like you're probably not going to go wrong if you use the UMP, but it doesn't really shine anymore like it used to.
Like
they changed it. It's like it's got a lot of horizontal now, and the vertical isn't anywhere near as good. So it's not like a laser beam, but like it's okay, and it's got rails on it straight away. You don't need silly mounts or anything, so like that's cool. So it was all right, but I feel like I wanted something more. I ended up going with things that were much more specific for the job. So like 74U for the close range stuff, and then I was going SKS and VPO for like the longer range. The UMP was just kind of too general in the end. It was like didn't really shine in any scenario. Like I found it hard to get long range kills with it. Up close, people were kind of like threatening to outshoot me with the fire rate. I was like, I never feel like there's a situation in which, like, yes, this is the UMP's moment where it's going to just dominate over XYZ gun. Like every fight in each scenario, unless I catch somebody who is fighting outside of that. If I catch somebody with a bolty at close range, yeah, I'm going to win. If I catch somebody at longer ranges and they've got, I don't know, a pistol or whatever, then like, yeah, I'm going to win. But like in a fair fight, I found that there was lots of situations where I felt that I had to kind of like play at a higher skill level to win. Is how I felt about the UMP, which is fine. Like it's still quite cheap, but yeah.
I guess I kind of I used the wrong, just not being up to date on the latest. I used the wrong stuff because I ultimately end up just using the shotgun, the revolver shotty, because it's fun and it's like relatively cheap. But I just felt like all the guns were not that great, but I think I was just using the wrong ones.
Yeah, revolver shotty. I haven't actually used shotguns at all this wipe. I decided that I wasn't going to use any.
Don't use the Remington. I don't know why, but the iron sight sensitivity is like 2x of. It's just I don't know. Just don't sell it.
Really?
It's not. Yeah, it's so bad, dude. I don't know why it's like that, but that's what it is.
Very strange. Very strange. Was there anything else on my list? What else did I say? Yeah, I've been using the pistol swap a little bit, but mainly with the SVT. I think it's good.
Yeah, I need to set that up where you have it set to where I need to set it up. Because I think right now... you just
set it up so it's on its own.
Yeah, I think right now I have it set by default, which is like double press. And then you'd have to like wait for that delay for it to register to double press. Like it almost feels as if it's at that point, you're not really gaining all that much. Because if you hit one, then like it takes longer to pull it out. So you might as well always hit 2, but I think it still takes a little bit of like hit it twice as fast.
It's just weird. As long as you've got any overlapping, then you have that like weird issue.
Yeah.
The thing for me, so my hotkeys for weapons are set up in a really weird way. Like I went through it all in the video, but like I have one as primary weapon swap.
Yeah, I see all that. You did the old. You made it like Call of Duty, where you just press one button to swap between the two. Yeah. I like that.
Because I was suddenly like, hold on, I can do this. So like, I have one primary gun on press. One release is secondary gun is secondary gun on release. But then when the pistol hot swap came in, I have pistol on 3 because I set it up originally 1, 2, and 3 primary, secondary, and third weapon. But then when the pistol swap came in, they just auto assigned it to double press 1.
Yep.
So I was like, why is because I always press 1 to change gun to the other gun. And I was like, why is this where is this delay coming from? This is super weird. And when I went to check, it was like, oh, it's because they've added double press 1 over the top of just my other keybinds. So now when I press 1 to change to my secondary, it's waiting for me to double press in case I want to hot swap to my pistol. I was like, no, that's not what I want at all. So that's why I ended up looking at it, because I was like, where's this delay? Like, this is super, because I could tell, because it's like 0.3, like 300 milliseconds is no joke.
Yeah.
In a multiplayer game, like you notice that kind of stuff. And so I ended up changing it so that it's 3 for hot swap, and then like left shift and 3 for just swap over normally. So there's no weird overlap. I've got them on 2 distinct keys. There's not any like delay or anything like that. And when I press 3, like I want the easiest button in the moment to do the fastest thing. The only exception to this is the dropping mags, because I hate dropping mags to do fast reloads. So that's the only exception that I have for that. I just don't do that because it's just so annoying.
Fast reloads in woods.
It'll inevitably hidden under a piece of newspaper or something, and you just never find it again, right? I'm also notorious for remembering where it was, because I'm so concentrating on the fight, but like by the time I'm just like, wait, did I just do it here? Was it all the way back over there? Was it on that hill? And then I'm just like, and then I'm just gonna get shot in the head or something. So it's just not worth it. Whereas like with pistol hot swap, it's like there's no downside other than the arm stamina thing. And like if I need to swap to the pistol, like I'm probably panicking, so I want it on the key I normally use. So I've got a hot swap on 3, and then like if I have time, I can just be sat behind a bush and go, oh, what was my key? Oh yes, it was shift and then 3. It's like Painkiller. I changed because I kept fumbling Painkiller all the time because I had it on like a normal keybind, and it was just like in the middle of the keyboard when something happens and I'm trying to press it, but I swap my guns instead, or do like try to heal or something stupid. So I changed it to tilt. I changed my Painkillers to tilt, like right on the edge of the keyboard, so I can always press it easily. And I changed my the console to like shift and tilt, because I don't need the console in the spur of the moment on the most easy to access key on the keyboard.
Right.
Like outside of the spacebar, maybe. Like those edge keys are actually really useful because you can just feel them with your hand where they are, even if you get lost. So I was like, right, Painkillers on the one on that side, and then shift is going to be shift and a modifier, and then the something other key is going to be console. When I first did it, the number of times I tried to open the console and just like stabbed a Propital on my arm, though, Jesus, I did it so many times. But I'm so used to it now that it's kind of alright. Have you stopped eating food in the inventory yet?
I have that issue.
You turn it off?
Yeah. It's probably not going back on.
Yeah, I've got my muscle memory now not to eat anything. I managed to accidentally eat. I drank a can of rat cola by accident. That's the last one, because I wanted to show chat the beautiful picture of General Sam on the front and just forgot that it was going to just like instant consume it. But other than that, I've actually been very disciplined and it's been working quite well.
Yeah, I had to switch back to my old settings because I could not trying to play Tarkov and have fun amongst the mountain of stuff that's like working against you. The last thing I need is myself working against me. You know what I mean? Having to sit there and think, okay, which button's my crouch key? This one. Okay, how do I lean? Okay, this one. How do I jump? Oh, that's not the jump. That's the wrong button. It's just like, So yeah, I had to switch back.
This is how I don't understand, though. People who play FPS, like their first FPS being Tarkov on PC, like how do they do it, man?
They wouldn't know any better.
They don't know any better, but like when you're not having a good time and just getting shot. Like Jesse, right? Tarkov was Jesse's first PC FPS.
Yeah, but
that's mind blowing to me.
It is, but like you don't really know any better, so like you just think like you have no expectations, so it's like you're dying a lot or whatever, you're noob or whatever. It's just like, I guess this is the video game.
Maybe. No, man.
I have a surprise in the comments of the last episode. There was like one. Some people were like, yeah, ESDF gang, I was surprised to see that. Then someone had suggested V for jump, and then they use spacebar as like the modifier. Like I would love to get there. Like if Arena comes out next, end of this year, sure, I'll give the wacky keybinds a go again. But just as right now, as it seems with Tarkov, man, I'm trying to extract fun from it. So I need to minimize the unfun factors as much as possible.
It's called an extraction shooter, Church. It extracts fun from you. That's how it works.
True.
Whole life, fun, enjoyment, any kind of self-esteem.
Yes. The ultimate
extracted out of the player.
Ultimate cope is when you die, just be like, well, my pain is someone else's pleasure. That's
Mm.
the ultimate cope.
Oh god, I was playing on reserve with my G36, and I was like just looking around, marking the tanks, and I was like, "What's that in the distance?" Like, usually I'm like, "Oh, what's that?" And it turns out to be some kind of it's a bush that looks like
Right.
something else.
Right.
And I zoom in with my Elcan, and I was like, "Hold up, that's a PMC." And he's like up in one of the watchtowers, and I was like, "That's super weird." Just like tap, and just tapped him straight away. It was like really clean, really neat. I was like, "Oh man." Go up there. Well, I went over there and I got jumped by his buddy in a bush at the bottom
Oh, sneaky.
with a 20 round MP5. If he had shot me in the legs, I would certainly be dead. But he fired a load of them against my bike. I was a mess, right? I was like Swiss cheese. But I killed him. Like I was just like, and G36'd him and killed him. But I was like a super mess. Anyway, I go over to him, like after fixing myself up, I'm just like, oh boy, he's like level 2. Oh no. I like climb all the way up the tower. Poor Timmy boys, just like level 1 at the top, just got like tapped in the sniper tower in reserve. I was like, no. I was like, is this 2 people who are never going to play the game again? Like, I sure hope not. It's like, hopefully they, took it as a lesson not to like just wander around in the sniper towers, like silhouetted against the entirety of the map or something. But it was just one of those ones where I feel kind of bad because the guy was just vibing, having a good time, exploring some stuff, and then it just gets like,
wow, look at this map. Look at the view from here.
It gets like 5-6A1 through the left side of his skull from like 150 meters away because some idiot's got an Elcan and is level 20 because they don't have their whole family's gone away and they don't have a life. You know what I mean? I was just like, I feel bad for him. There was another one as well. Oh, what was that one? It's gone out of my head now. No, I can't remember.
I was gonna quickly ask you, what do you think of the scavs? I feel like they're like way more unpredictable and very trigger happy.
I like them mostly. I feel like their headshottiness has been toned down quite a lot. I don't know whether it's on purpose or whether I'm lucky.
Perhaps,
I was in offline testing something as well, and I was just like sideways strafing, and this Toz scav was just going like against the wall next to me and just like couldn't hit me. I was like, okay, but like that, it feels so much better to have like 5 scavs all be shooting at you. There's like buckshot going off. They're shouting. They're like running around, and like the one clips you in the arm and then the leg, and you're like, oh boy, and then you have to go and heal and stuff. Like it's so much more enjoyable and fun to have those like intensive fights rather than like there's 5 scavs and you lean out and one of them just one taps you. Like that just sucks. Whereas like the way that they are now feels pretty good. I've had a couple of situations where I'm like, no, that's BS, right? Like I think there was one where I've just had scavs return fire in just ridiculous ways, right? It's like, I like creep up and just peek over. I fire one shot and miss with a suppressed weapon, and they're just like straight round, just like 7.62 come flying over the hill, and I'm like, dude, there's absolutely no way that any actual real player would be able to know that I was there. There's no chance.
Yeah,
there's no chance. I was like peeking through bushes just over the ridgeline with I think there should be a better modifier for suppressed weapons. They should run and take cover, but I don't think they should just turn and return fire immediately. I think that's kind of silly. But other than those, like I've had a couple of situations like that have been frustrating. But broadly speaking, it's pretty cool. I fought a scav gang at the checkpoint area I don't know what you'd call it. It's the sniper tower checkpoint on Shoreline. On the way road to customs?
Yes.
Halfway down the road, there's the tower bit. Dude, there's one there, and there were like 3 snipers up in the top. It was really crazy. And then there was like 4, there was like 3 or 4 down below.
And then all AI, right?
All AI. Yeah. And then as we were fighting, 3 scavs came from road to customs to join in.
Yeah.
And because I was like trying to get an angle, and then I just hear like, Sludgy from like miles away. And I look up the road, and they're like coming down the road to like help their scav buddies. And I was like, what the heck is this? And I had like 8 energy, and we were like trying to kill them all and like get to that. Like I literally just had to extract over there, but I was doing punishes, so I needed to kill as many scavs as I could. But it was crazy. It was like tower defense, like zombie horde mode. It was like, it was good though, man. It was actually really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really, really cool.
I'm glad you did.
Have you had a bad time with those scavs?
Yeah. I have one on woods, dude. I was trying to make it to outskirts. I mean, I ultimately survived, so I guess it worked, but it was just terrifying. It's like you on the way, like past the road with the truck. There's scavs there, once you hit the outskirts. Past that, there's like the forest, and there's like scavs there patrolling, and I see one, try to take him out, but then like they just start all congregating to my position, and like I lean out left side to shoot one that's like yelling at me, and there's two of them, and he instantly blacks my thorax because he did like the fast rate of fire thing, and I guess it was like 366 or PS or something. So but I managed to survive, but it was just like mortifying, and I had another one early. This was like day one of the wipe where there was a player scav camping. Is it RUAF Roblox on customs, the one that's like glitched and like always on? Is that what it's called? Okay. He may have not been camping, but I thought made me think. I was like, oh man, you could like do some really crazy strategies where you like get your scav karma really high and then like build up a mini scav army and just like camp choke points with like scavs is like dude, that's because I'm not too upset about him camping, if he was even camping the extract there, because fair play, your scav, whatever.
That reminds me, there's a new, I don't know whether this is like I don't know what you call it, like a
feature or a bug.
Or whether it's like, whether this is coded in or whether this just happens naturally. But I've had scavs camp tunnel on shoreline twice now.
Like
up on the camping spot. Yeah, AI scavs camping on the spot above tunnel. You know when you like, there's the rock like just to the up and right? I've had them sit there twice, and I come into the extract and it's just like from up there, and they didn't kill me, but it gave me a real shock because I was not expecting to have an AI scav like up on the corner. But I think they might have increased, because they've increased their patrol zone, they've increased their kind of like take cover mechanics in general. Like they will run from cover to cover. It's like quite hard. Like they will stand out in the open in certain areas, but if you fire, that's it. So I wonder if somebody shot at some point and it got spooked and then like ran to cover, and it just so happens that there's a rock up there, so it just like chills up there waiting for somebody, and then they just get stuck there. And then the next person they see is little old me toddling towards the extract, and it's like, aha, Lajui, and they could just start firing for me from up there. But it's literally happened twice. I've not extracted tunnel that many times. Like it's probably 50% of my tunnel extracts, and I've had a scav exit camping at the top, which is really weird. So I don't know if that is intentional. They've like
I'm guessing they've added
they do that.
pathing up there would be my guess.
Maybe, yeah.
Unless, so I don't know if you had this happen to you, but I had this happen to me. Long story short, PMC on the streets wanted to team up. I was a scav. I was like, sure. But the whole time I was like debating about killing him. And so we were headed there, and like he's getting shot at from like sniper scav, like scavs in the road. And so I'm like, fuck it. So I pull out the pistol, one tap him in the back of the head. He's got like a boonie hat. So I go to loot him, but I'm trying to min max, get all the loot in there. And then this freaking AI scav walks up. I was like, don't you fucking loot him, dude. Because I had to like drop my rig to pick up his rig, to put the backpack in. He takes the backpack, dude. And like, fuck, dude. That was all the loot side. I killed the scav. I had to kill 3 scavs that raid to get out. My karma, I was at probably like 0.13, and I netted I ended up at like 0.04. Thankfully, it didn't go negative, but it's like, dude.
That is really annoying that there's nothing you can do about AIs taking this back. Yeah. Right? That sucks.
I just don't touch, like, maybe if you like drop all their loot, because I think the backpack was still on him, but I was dropping the rigs out of the backpack to like wear one, and so maybe if you drop all the loot, it'll be fine.
Yes, that's probably true, actually. Yeah, they're getting good though. The AI is getting better.
So annoying. I knew as soon as he's walking up, I was like, oh my god, he's gonna loot this, isn't he?
Dude, I did see there's some scavs just like look completely crazy. Like I did one random scav run on the streets just because I like had it loading in the background, and I just like was running through to the Klimov trading extract because I wanted to see where it was, and it's in a really awkward place, but
it is.
And I was like wandering through, and I turned around, and I'm just like, oh my god, there's like a Chad stood next to me coming around the corner, but turns out it's just like AI scav with like big purple backpack, like armor on, and a Ratnik helmet. I was like, oh, okay, it's actually just a scav who's just like thick, like looted for some reason.
Yeah,
they must have taken all the PMC gear.
I wonder if they upgrade their own gear, if they drop like a boonie hat.
Apparently they do. I think they. Dang. I don't know about boonies. I think they do, but they leave they said rigs and bags. They leave them next to the body and like upgrade their stuff. So I don't know. I'm not sure about armor.
That's right.
I imagine they do. Maybe they don't. I don't actually know that for sure. Don't know. Man, it's an interesting time though.
Yeah,
It certainly is.
interesting
Oh
stuff.
boy. Oh boy. It's hard to get around streets as a PMC. It's hard, man. There's so many
Yeah,
snipers. I had
like
three snipers on the Klimov roof, like
can
the
you even
shopping
see
center roof.
them?
I could when they were shooting at me.
Okay, because like I can't see where they're shooting me from. I don't know if they're like in the distance in like the really tall buildings or like I can't see them, so like I just run.
Yeah, sometimes I've not been able to. Like there was one time I was around the terror group building and I just could not see the sniper. I was just like, I mean that's the intention, but I just had to sprint across the street with painkillers on.
Well, like like I don't like it. Like I, obviously don't want them to be like, "Hey, giant flare, shoot up! I'm over here sniping at you." But like, I'm worried that they're not actually there and that they're shooting at me. You know what I mean? Like, there's no counter. That's kind of like the gripe, if that's the case.
I think they are.
I hope so.
And except for the Klimov Street border snipers, which
right, that's fine.
That took me 2 attempts. The first, I did actually manage to survive somehow. Oh my god!
Wow.
Because you have to be stood, and this is like the most ridiculous piece of game design I've ever experienced. You have to be stood in like the most pedantically intricate spot on the entire map. Otherwise, the flare doesn't count. It's a flare. There shouldn't be any spot.
It's like a little strip of road,
it's like
basically.
The tiniest piece of road. Like if you go to the wiki and look at Rima's map, he's got the graphic. It's like 1 by 2 meters. Really? And if you're not in that, the flare doesn't count. And if you don't shoot it the right way, it doesn't count. And if you're stood in the wrong place, it doesn't count. And if you don't wait long enough, it doesn't count. And it's just like, well, like why? Like it's a flare. Right. I had a mini rant on stream about the fact that like it's a freaking flare, guys. It goes at like probably more than half a kilometer or something. I don't even know. Like, why does it matter which 2 by 1 meter box I'm stood in? Like, that's absolutely insane that it even matters. I mean, it's the way they've coded it, but like, it's poor in my opinion.
Yeah.
But the first time I did it, fired the flare, and then got shot anyway, and had to like run back and tail between my legs. So I had to try it again.
Let me ask you this because I want to know for myself. When you shoot the flare, do you like look straight ahead? Do you look up? Like, what's the secret?
You have to look up at about, I would say, if you look up probably like 45 degrees, it's probably okay. Like 60 degrees. Because when your guy shoots it off, he leans it at an angle and then shoots it up. But he doesn't, it's not like vertical. It's probably about 45 degrees. You'll be fine with. And the flare box, I mean, yeah, you can look at it on the map, but it seems to be, like you have to go past, like, and this is the whole ridiculous thing, right? Like, how are you ever supposed to work this out without just like trying it or looking at the wiki? You have to go past the sign that says you will be shot by snipers. You have to walk past that for a start.
Really?
And there's no demarcation. You just have to get to the edge of there's like a little barricade in the road, like a little thing. If you're before that, you're in the zone, and it does say in the bottom corner, but you have to walk there, and then then you look up 45 degrees. Shoot it off, wait for it to ding, and then you can run, and then it's okay. But the problem is, right, the snipers on the Klimov Trading Center will shoot you there. It's not like it's a safe place. I mean, that's fine, but like you have to kill them first.
Oh, okay.
But it's just kind of annoying, right? Like the way it used to be with the Pinewood Hotel, it was a nice little, like, nice corner. Right. There weren't ever any snipers or anything, right? So you just like shot it up and then ran across. Whereas this way, it's like you have to stand in the middle of the street to let the flare go because it's like, you must be in these 3 pixels, otherwise it won't work.
I thought you meant the out of bounds sniper was going to snipe at you regardless. I was like, that sounds awful.
No. Yeah, like when he shot me, he blacked my thorax, and I ran back, and I did actually manage to not die. I think I got lucky because like his shot 2 missed, and then the other shot I think hit me on the arm or something. Because they kill you really fast, the out of bounds snipers.
Yeah,
but I did manage to survive. So Klimov Street is a bit annoying. I did manage to do the. I had a semi-sad but ended up being kind of wholesome moment. I went down into the subway and leant round because I could hear something, and I was like, shot a scav in the head. I was like, I didn't think scavs came down here. And then there was just this distant voice who's like, man, don't do it to me, man, don't do it to me. And I was like, oh no, hello. He's like, hello, you shot my friend. I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. And then someone in chat was like, you should do the co-op extract. I was like, oh yeah. I was like, do you want to play a game with your friend? Like, you can just leave with me through co-op. Let's do it now. And he's like, oh yeah, okay. So we just like ran back to Pinewood into the basement. The co-op extract is the one, right next to the old Klimov like flare area. You go into that bit of Pinewood Hotel where the reception is, and just go downstairs. It's at the bottom there, and we left. It was quite wholesome. After killing his friend, obviously, but I thought he was an AI. He was walking like an AI. It's super weird. Yeah. The only other thing that I wanted to say just before we close up was, have you seen Tiggs's clip that he put up on Twitter of him baiting a cheetah on labs?
I did.
Something about that clip, I can't stop watching it. It's so funny.
What is I see? I can't make out what's being said. So maybe I'm missing like the extra funny part.
It's just
because it almost sounds like the cheater is VoIPing, or is like some type of like maybe a command and take stream.
I think he's got like a text to speech or something going on in the background.
Okay, that's what. Okay.
Yeah, but it's. Oh, can you share the link to that clip? Yeah, I'll find it now on Twitter. I keep watching it, and it's so funny because like Texture is playing a bit of labs, obviously, but like I think the issue right now is that most of the people who play labs, it's either like turbo sweats or cheaters, right? Because like who else is going to get there? And so
right.
And so the clip, like, I'm not playing labs yet. Like, I maybe would play labs later. I'd be like part of the player base for labs, but like not yet because I'm not there yet. So it's like people who are like level 30 plus cheaters and people like Tiggs. But anyway, he's got like it's so funny. He's got like he's in one of the rooms and he's suspects he's being like stalked by a hacker in the first place, finds the LEDX and basically keeps it in his bag. And he's just like, I'm gonna keep this in my bag and I'm gonna put it in my butt right at the last minute. And he like just sits in the corner. He's like, I can hear somebody. I can hear them coming. So they've run across the whole map to come and find me. He's out of stamina. Here he comes, and then like sticks it in his gamut just as the guy comes around the corner. He's just like, "Too late, bro! It's too late! It's too late! You're too late!" This is so good. I absolutely adore it. I think Tiggs is quite funny, actually. I know that some people don't like him that much, and he complains about some stuff. I find Tiggs quite entertaining. And that clip in particular was great. It's got like loads of views on Twitter. Actually, it's like 300,000 views. Yeah. So it's gone like semi-viral. But it's just like the perfect reaction, like trying to bait cheaters into killing you and then like stuffing the thing in your gamma. I just love it. I love it so much. So good. Obviously, don't love the fact there's cheaters on labs. I did say that was going to be the final thing, but I've reminded myself about one more thing, which was because I was just thinking about Twitter and things going viral. There's the like a clip from Pestily. I think it's just a picture, and a few other people that's going around and doing like doing the runs. Everyone's going like, oh, it's like the same as last time with the cheating video. Pestily played like however many raids, 50% of his deaths. There was a cheater report, which then came back. It's like 60 other reports. They've been banned based on this. I don't know. Like I don't know yet, right? But Anton posted saying, I've also got this message. And it's like, your reports banned like 12 players on this day on Factory and like 20 other players. And he was like, man, I haven't played that much Factory. Like this report is bugged. I haven't been on Factory that much. I haven't even done that many reports. So like that report of like, your report has led to a ban. Like it's not working. It's showing way too many people. But the problem is that the Pestily clip is doing like the rounds because everyone's like, oh, look, the game's cheater infested, know? And like, yeah, there's cheaters on labs and the Tiggs clip, like, sure, fine. But like, I don't think 50% of Pestily's deaths were cheaters that he reported. I just don't think that that's true. Like maybe for Pestily, I don't know. But I just don't think that there's that many in the game. And I think that, yeah, there are some for sure. But I think that report is giving people a misleading like understanding of how many there are. Like, I don't think it's like super, super, super rife, like 50% of your deaths are cheaters. Because that's what a lot of people who just kind of like on the fringes of the community are taking away from this, right? And it's almost like, I feel like there's almost a risk that this kind of blows up like the cheating video did. And people being like, look, EFT is just unplayable. Like, Pestily's half his raids have been killed by cheater. And I mean, I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it's not true. But it seems very clear that there's, in certain circumstances, there's something wrong with that report. Certainly for certain people, it does seem like lots of people have been having, and 23 other reports when like, people just haven't reported that many people. It seems a bit weird. So I don't know. I thought I'd just mention that because we were talking about cheaters, and people are always asking me like, how's the cheating situation? And I'm just like, big shrug, because like, who can tell?
Honest, I just like find like the cheating thing is like just a non-issue for me because I'm more frustrated at the game than I ever like you know what I mean? It's like, how do I even know that guy? Like I had an instance where I was like moving through streets through like you know that one spawn where you spawn next to like check 15, but it's like there's like a dead scav, like a duffel bag, and there's like some filing cabinets behind you. But now they expanded where you can go out the other side, right?
Oh, can you?
Yeah,
I didn't think you could do that.
Well,
That's
anyways,
cool.
I was like pathing through there, and like I got one tap from somewhere. I assume like through the window, but like I don't know if that guy was cheating. Like you know what I mean? It's just like I never really. Anyways,
Yeah,
I'm not
yeah,
that. I'm not really that bothered by. That's like the least
No.
of my grievances for me. But
No, but it's like I've seen it a lot, like people being like, "Oh,
Yeah.
look, you know, look at this, like, look at this post, you know, it's rife, whatever." And it's like, I don't know, man. Like I've not
just
seen much. Like it's bad for the big guys. It always is because they get targeted, and they're more likely to be high level, and more likely to have better loot, and more likely to be going to the hotspot.
for sure.
So sure, but I think for the average player, I don't think it's much of a. I think it's probably much more of like a non-issue. Maybe it's worse in OCE as well, as we've said in the past.
Yeah,
But,
I mean, yeah, because I feel like if you're Pestili, you're, you know, he's like on shoreline or something. It's like, how many people are like on shoreline already? Besides, like, you know, 1%, like the people that play excessively. You know what I mean? And like, they're probably going to be in that pool. There's probably like 12, 16-year-old Billies with mommy's credit card that, you know, got cheats as well. You know, just I don't know. It's just, anyways. I did have one weird instance I want to mention. So I was playing Factory doing the one of the quests we gotta like repair the things, and I was loading in, but I was alt tab trying to take a cure something else, and then I alt tab back in and I was dead. And I didn't ever remember like hearing the, you know, my gun pull out, like you load it into the array type of thing, like the volume increasing, like I was just dead. So I had to go back and watch my VOD, and literally the timer was going down, like loading loot or, you know, waiting on players, and then it just fades to black and then unfades, and it's a death screen. I died 0-0-0-0 to some player named Asia, EOD, and I look at my death screen and I had like 10 hits of buckshot, and I died from blunt damage. It was really weird. It was like a regular 3 to 4 minute loading time too. So it was like really weird. I don't know if that was like a server. Like, this is the thing. I don't know if that was like some new crazy gamer hack or like, you know, some bug or, you know what I mean? I mean, I report him anyways, just because like, I guess that's the way to do it. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I don't think I was cheating. I mean, if so, that'd be a crazy, like in theory, it could be possible because I'd imagine waiting for players, you're already like populated in a certain location. You're just not fully loaded there. So if you could like somehow, I don't know, maybe I have no idea. Whatever, too much speculation. But it was just weird. Thought I'd just mention it.
Yeah, that is strange.
It's very,
I have
very
heard
strange.
of that. I've seen other people having that issue
because it was, which was even more weird. Is like he, assuming, you know, I actually got shot at. He hit me 10 times in the thorax, and I died the blunt damage. And I was wearing a pack. Like it, you would think you would just like, you know, head tap me if I was AFK. You know, something. It was just weird. That's mainly why I reported. Is like, okay, that's like even more odd of a killer.
Yeah, it just doesn't make sense. Exactly.
So exactly. I don't know. Possibly a new cheat. Who knows? Be on the lookout for that. Thankfully, it was just a pistol and a P.A.C.A. that I lost, so nothing of value was lost.
Fair enough.
All right, I know you got to go, so we should wrap it up here. Thanks everyone for tuning in as always. And with that, we'll see you all next week.
Bye-bye.